The cruelest punishment is not yelling, is not revenge. It's silence, the kind that echoes in their mind long after you've gone. When someone betrays you, they expect a reaction, a fight, a breakdown, a desperate attempt to be understood. But when you give them nothing, no anger, no words, no closure, that silence becomes the loudest consequence of all. They wanted to see you fall apart, but instead, you disappeared, not with bitterness, but with grace. And that quiet withdrawal, that was the beginning of their collapse. In this video, we'll show you why your silence isn't just strength. It's strategy, it's psychological dominance. It's the invisible blade they never saw coming. Stay with us, because once you understand the silent force of Stoic revenge, you'll never need to raise your voice again. They'll destroy themselves, trying to fill the void you left behind. There's a reason betrayal always comes with expectation. The one who betrayed you never thought you'd disappear quietly. They thought you'd scream, plead, break, react in ways that would validate their cruelty, because in their mind, your emotional collapse would confirm their illusion of control. And your silence, that was the one response they were never prepared for. Betrayers don't just wound you, they expect to be the center of your storm. They want to see themselves reflected in your reaction, your rage, your sadness, your breakdown, not because they care, but because they need it to justify their own actions. If you fight back, they get to play the victim. If you chase them, they get to feel powerful. But if you go quiet, if you rise in silence, suddenly they're left alone with themselves. And that's where the panic begins. This is the psychological projection no one talks about. Betrayers often project their own emptiness onto you. They assume that if they cut you off or betray you, you'll collapse like they would if it happened to them. They're not analyzing your emotional intelligence, they're measuring you by their own weakness. And that's exactly why your calm shatters them. Let's be clear, silence is not weakness. Silence is discipline, and that terrifies those who operate through chaos. Why do they expect noise from you? Because that's what they would do. Toxic people live in a constant loop of self-defense. They overtalk, over-explain, over-dramatize, not to bring clarity, but to drown the truth. To them, words are weapons, and noise is a shield. So when you withdraw into stillness, you disrupt their entire psychological map. They can't read you. They can't manipulate you. They can't control what they can't understand. They're not used to boundaries. They're used to access. And the silent boundary, the one where you don't justify, don't explain, don't chase, that's the one they fear the most, because it leaves them exposed. And when they can no longer distort your story, they're left face to face with their own reflection. And it's ugly. The power of psychological silence. There's a type of silence that isn't passive, it's surgical. It cuts deeper than confrontation ever could. It says, I no longer need to explain myself. I am not your emotional mirror. Your opinion of me is no longer relevant. This is where true self-worth emerges, not in fighting back, but in choosing not to descend into their chaos. It's not about revenge. It's about refusal. The refusal to engage in low-level energy. The refusal to defend your integrity to someone who already chose to disrespect it. And that's when they feel the shift, because silence reveals what words often conceal: strength, detachment, sovereignty. You're no longer playing the role they scripted for you, and without your participation, their manipulation collapses like a house of cards. A real-life example: the executive who walked away. Let me tell you about someone I know, a high-level executive who was betrayed by his closest business partner. Years of trust gone in a single backdoor deal. Everyone expected retaliation, lawsuits, explosions. Instead, he packed up his things, deleted all access, and disappeared. Quietly. No statement, no fight. 6 months later, the company that betrayed him was in free fall because the strength of the brand had always been his leadership, his vision. His silence wasn't just absence, it became a vacuum, a mirror, a consequence. That's Stoicism in motion. That's quiet power. Final reflection: if someone betrayed you, understand this. They didn't expect you to grow. They didn't expect you to rise. And they certainly didn't expect your silence to speak louder than their betrayal. But when you choose not to react, when you choose to protect your peace instead of your ego, you awaken a force they cannot combat: self-mastery. And it haunts them in the most poetic way, not because you punished them, but because you left no openings for their poison to enter again. Silence has a strange way of becoming a mirror, not for you, but for the person who hurt you. When you stay calm, when you don't retaliate, when you simply walk away with dignity, the other person is left alone with their own actions, not distractions, no chase to hide behind. And in that space, the weight of their choices begins to settle, not because you condemned them, but because your silence refused to soothe their guilt. This is where emotional intelligence flips the power dynamic. You're no longer reacting, you're revealing. By doing nothing, by choosing stillness over spectacle, you become the living embodiment of a truth they can no longer escape. Silence as a mirror of accountability. The manipulator, the betrayer, the saboteur, they depend on noise. Not just from you, but from the world. Because if there's noise, they don't have to feel. If there's drama, they don't have to think. If there's chaos, they don't have to look in the mirror. But silence amplifies everything they tried to bury. The truth echoes louder in quiet spaces, and without your emotional distraction, their shame becomes inescapable. This is why people often lash out after you go silent. They're not angry at your absence. They're ashamed of what your absence reveals. Psychological projection in full collapse. Psychological projection is one of the most destructive tools manipulators rely on. They blame you for what they did. They twist your peace into arrogance, your distance into cruelty, your detachment into weakness. But here's what they never anticipate. When you stop feeding their narrative, when you stop explaining, apologizing, or justifying, their story begins to fall apart. Because their version of reality needs your participation to survive. When you go silent, you force them to sit in a room with a version of themselves they've spent their whole life avoiding. That's why your silence feels like punishment, because it ends the illusion. Real-life example: a daughter and a narcissistic parent. Consider this: a daughter grows up constantly blamed by her narcissistic parent. Every failure becomes her fault. Every argument her responsibility. She spends years trying to be understood, to fix things, to earn affection through emotional labor, until one day she stops. No angry letters, no dramatic exits, just quiet detachement. She builds a life away from the dysfunction, starts healing, stops explaining. And what happens? The parent doesn't feel peace. They feel exposed. Because now, there's no one left to absorb their blame. No one left to carry their emotional weight. And for the first time, they are alone with the truth of themselves. That is the power of the silent mirror. Inner power and the discipline of non-reaction. It takes spiritual discipline not to respond when you've been wronged. The ego wants to fight. The pride wants revenge. The wounded heart wants to be heard. But true power, inner power, is in restraint. Not because you're afraid, not because you've given up, but because you know that any reaction would only water the weeds you're trying to outgrow. Every time you choose silence over chaos, you build quiet confidence. Not loud, not performative, just steady, rooted, unshakable. And that's what unravels those who betrayed you, not your words, but your refusal to carry their darkness one step further. Reflection prompt. Have you ever watched someone unravel in your silence? Think about it. Have you ever stayed calm while someone tried to provoke you and they lost control? Not because you did anything, but because you didn't. That moment wasn't about dominance. It was about contrast. Your stillness highlighted the storm in them, and that contrast became unbearable. This is how Stoic power works. You don't crush people with aggression. You defeat manipulation with clarity. You dismantle dysfunction with your refusal to participate in it. Final thoughts. Silence is more than absence. It is confrontation without conflict. It is the reflection of who someone really is without your emotional presence to blur the image. And that's why it feels so unbearable to those who betrayed you. Because the quiet truth, the one they tried to drown in noise now, stands in front of them, unmoved, unbothered, indéniable. You didn't need revenge. You just needed space. And in that space, karma found its voice. Detachment isn't weakness. It's war, waged with wisdom. In the world of Stoicism, detachment is not about apathy or indifference. It's not the cold silence of someone who doesn't care. It's the grounded strength of someone who refuses to be enslaved by emotional chaos. It's a weapon of clarity, forged in the fires of emotional intelligence and self-mastery. When someone betrays you, the impulse is to react to prove your worth, to demand an apology, to correct the injustice. But the Stoic doesn't move like that. The Stoic doesn't react. They respond, if necessary, and only when the response aligns with their values, not their emotions. Detachment equals emotional intelligence in motion. To detach doesn't mean you feel nothing. It means you choose not to be ruled by what you feel. That's emotional intelligence at its highest level, the ability to feel anger, sadness, grief, and betrayal, and still respond with integrity. A Stoic understands the more emotionally entangled you are with a manipulator, the more control they have over your internal state. But the moment you detach, truly detach, you reclaim that power. And when your inner world becomes off-limits to their games, you become unreadable, untouchable, unshakable. Detachment brings mental clarity, emotional chaos, clouds, judgment. You overthink, you replay conversations, you doubt your decisions. But when you detach, clarity rushes in. You see patterns more clearly. You recognize manipulation tactics without falling for them. You begin to discern what's real from what's projection. That's why manipulators fear detachment, because it strips away their favorite weapon, confusion. You're no longer reacting to their drama. You're observing it, studying it. And once you can observe from a distance, you can make decisions that liberate you, instead of decisions that come from hurt or pride. Example, the friend who always needed saving. Imagine this. You have a friend who constantly brings drama into your life. Every week, there's a new crisis, a new enemy, a new person who wronged them. And you, the emotionally responsible one, feel compelled to help, fix, console, until one day, something shifts. You stop reacting. You don't reply to the panic texts. You don't jump in to rescue. You sit with yourself instead. And suddenly, that friend's mask starts slipping. They don't want connection. They want control. They don't need support. They need an audience. Your silence. It's not abandonment. It's detachment, the beginning of mental clarity. And that clarity is what saves you from years of psychological exhaustion. Self-mastery is built in the pause. The Stoics taught us that the space between stimulus and response is where freedom lives. Anyone can react. Only the disciplined choose to pause. That pause, the moment where you take a deep breath and ask, "Is this worth my energy?" is where self-mastery begins. You're no longer a puppet yanked around by other people's behavior. You're the master of your mind. And your silence becomes your boundary. Psychological boundaries don't always need to be spoken. Sometimes they're felt in the lack of access, felt in the refusal to engage, felt in the calm energy you protect, like sacred ground. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care, it means you care about yourself too. This is a hard truth for the people-pleasers and empaths. Caring too much about people who harm you isn't compassion, it's self-abandonment. The Stoic doesn't harden their heart. They strengthen it. They don't isolate. They discriminate who gets access. And they don't detach out of spite. They detach out of respect for their energy, their sanity, and their sacred inner world. You can love someone deeply and still walk away. You can forgive someone silently and still never let them back in. That's not cold. That's clarity. Reflection. When did detachment save you? Ask yourself, when was the last time you didn't react? And it changed everything. That moment you said nothing, walked away, and watched the storm collapse without your participation. That was your higher self speaking. That was detachment doing its job. That was you, mastering your peace. Final thought: detachment is not the absence of love. It's the presence of wisdom. It's the refusal to be dragged into a war that has nothing to do with your growth. It's the armor of those who value peace more than validation. And in a world obsessed with noise, your quiet discernment becomes the most powerful statement of all. You didn't stop caring. You just stopped sacrificing yourself to prove it. There's a reason Silence drives guilty people insane. It's not just that you're ignoring them, it's that you're forcing them to sit with the one thing they've spent their entire life running from themselves. When you go silent, you remove their favorite distraction, and suddenly, without your reactions, your justifications, your energy, they're left alone with their own reflection. And that mirror doesn't lie. Guilt needs a target, and you used to be it. People who betray, manipulate, or mistreat others rarely feel guilt in the moment. Why? Because they're too busy blaming you. That's psychological projection. They can't face the discomfort of admitting their behavior, so they twist the story. You made me do it. You were too sensitive. You overreacted. It's not truth. It's a coping mechanism. And for a long time, it worked until you stopped explaining. The moment you went quiet, you shattered their illusion. There's no one left to blame. Just them and the weight of what they did. Your silence is their sentence. Silence doesn't just punish, it exposes. It forces the other person to confront the wreckage they caused without a scapegoat. And for someone who built their whole ego on being right, that's unbearable. You're not even fighting. You're not arguing. You're not throwing insults. You're just gone. And that absence, that void where your energy used to be, it haunts them because now they don't just hear their own thoughts. They feel your absence as proof that they were the problem all along. Real-life moment when silence spoke louder than revenge. A woman once shared this story. Her ex-boyfriend cheated, lied, and when caught, tried to flip the blame, said she was cold, said she was never enough. She said nothing, just packed her things and walked away. Months later, he reached out, not to apologize, but to explain. She didn't respond. A year after that, another message, this time full of nostalgia, regret, even putri. Again, she stayed silent. And today, he watches her life through social media, never getting a reply, never hearing her voice again. Her silence became his life sentence. Guilt unleashed. Looks like anger. Here's a psychological truth when someone feels guilty and doesn't know how to process it. It often shows up as rage. They lash out. They mock your silence. They accuse you of being toxic, selfish, or bitter. But that's not about you. That's their guilt, suffocating and looking for oxygen in your reactions. And when you don't react, that guilt has nowhere to go, and it begins to eat them from the inside. That's the justice no court can serve. It's spiritual discipline in action. It's the slow unraveling of someone who thought they could escape consequence. Quiet confidence breaks, psychological control. You don't need revenge. You don't need to be heard. You don't need their apology. You just need to stay silent and move forward. This isn't passive. It's active detachment. It's what high-performance people do when they outgrow emotional entanglement. You're no longer available for chaos. You're busy building peace. And the more you glow without them, the more their guilt grows within them. This is the secret many never learn. True power isn't expressed through confrontation. It's revealed through stillness and the unshakable clarity of someone who no longer needs closure. Reflection: what did your silence reveal? Think back when you stopped defending yourself, what truth surfaced. When you stopped chasing answers, what clarity came rushing in. Maybe you discovered your self-worth. Maybe you found your inner peace. Or maybe they finally showed who they really were once they couldn't control you anymore. Either way, your silence wasn't just an act, it was a mirror. And in that mirror, they finally saw what you saw all along. Final thought. The guilty thrive on your reaction. Not because it helps them, but because it numbs them. And when you take that away, they're forced to meet themselves, unfiltered, unjustified, undistracted. And for many, that's the one battle they can't win. You didn't destroy them. You simply stopped protecting them from their own reflection. They thought silence would be the end of the conversation. What they never expected was that silence would become a mirror. And every cruel word they once spoke would come back to haunt them in echoes. You see, when you're no longer there to interrupt their mind with your voice, all that's left is theirs. And in that silence, the things they said begin to echo louder than they ever anticipated. The brain remembers what the conscience denies. Human memory doesn't forget emotional pain, especially the pain we've caused others. We may bury it, we may suppress it, but the moment silence enters, and no more noise exists to cover it up, it resurfaces. Those who betrayed you, they now walk through their days with whispers in their own head. Why did I say that? Why didn't I stop? Why did they go so quiet? It's not your absence that destroys them. It's what your absence makes them remember. This is emotional intelligence at work, not just in how you manage your pain, but in how you weaponize restraint without even trying. Your exit becomes their inner collapse. There's something deeply psychological that happens when a person loses access to the one they once belittled, controlled, or underestimated. At first, they act like it doesn't matter. They laugh. They move on. They pretend nothing happened. But then the silence lingers. They start to remember things you didn't even notice you forgave. The snide comments. The moments they ignored you. The way they looked away when you needed them most. Suddenly, all the little moments they dismissed come roaring back this time. Without your presence to soften the blow, that's how inner peace becomes your silent revenge. Quiet confidence shakes their illusion. When you used to defend yourself, cry, or beg for understanding, they felt powerful. But now you're calm. Now you're focused. Now you walk in quiet confidence and no longer feed the narrative. That change alone dismantles the illusion they built, that you were weak, that you needed them, that they were right. And the more you grow in silence, the more they shrink in their own reflection. This is self-worth in motion, not defined by validation, but by detachment, real life. Example, the echo that destroys. A man once bragged about how he broke her spirit, said she cried too much, said she was too emotional. Eventually, she stopped responding. She blocked his number, moved cities, vanished from his world. Years later, he confessed to a friend that he still hears her sobs at night, not because she still cries, but because he never made peace with what he did. She never raised her voice again. But in his mind, her silence plays back everything he said over and over until it's no longer just a memory. It's his own voice turning against him. They thought you were the problem, now they're left with themselves. Here's what's ironic. They spent so much time convincing others and themselves that you were the issue. But when you disappeared, the problem went with you. And yet, their life didn't get better. The peace they imagined never came. The noise inside their mind got worse. Why? Because they removed the symptom but never faced the cause, their own dysfunction. And that is the curse of the manipulator. They only realize your value once your silence exposes their damage. Reflection prompt: what echo did they leave you with? Let's pause. Think about the last time someone hurt you deeply. Not just a mistake, but a pattern, a betrayal, a character flaw. What did they say to you that still rings in your mind? Now, flip it. What silence did you leave them with? Because if you walked away with emotional intelligence, self-worth, and dignity, then that silence didn't just echo in their ears, it echoed in their conscience. And that's the one place they can't run from. Final takeaway. You didn't have to scream. You didn't need revenge. You simply walked away and let time, truth, and trauma speak in your place. And now they're trapped in a conversation they thought they ended, except this time they're the only one talking, and they can't bear what they're hearing. They post pictures with new people. They laugh in videos. They act unbothered, like nothing ever happened, like you were just a passing phase. Easily replaced. But what you're seeing is surface performance, and what they're hiding is a storm. Because just as your silence matured into peace, theirs evolved into psychological unrest. They're not happy, they're performing happiness. People often confuse external noise with internal healing. But look closer. The sudden oversharing, the need to broadcast their glow-up, the constant validation from strangers, that's not confidence. That's panic. That's a desperate attempt to fill the silence you left behind. Because deep down, they know you're no longer watching, and it kills them that you're not looking back. Cognitive dissonance, the battle inside. Here's the truth most manipulators never see coming. The same person they discarded is now the standard they can't escape. Every new connection gets compared to you, but without your emotional intelligence, your depth, your quiet strength, they all fall short. This creates a cognitive dissonance, a war between the story they tell the world and the emptiness they feel within. Their life may look fine, but the silence echoes in their gut. They traded peace for applause. You didn't need to prove your healing. You just lived it. But they traded inner peace for external validation, a game that never ends. They tell themselves they're winning, but it only takes one quiet moment, one night alone, one scent, one memory, and the illusion shatters. Because peace isn't found in being seen, it's found in being still. And that's what they no longer know how to do. Real life moment, the fake smile that cracked. One woman shared her story. Her ex betrayed her, then flaunted a new relationship online just days later. Everyone thought he'd moved on, but months later, he messaged her at 2:13 a.m. not to apologize, not to ask her back, but to say, "I don't know why, but I can't sleep. You were always so calm. How did you do that?" That's what happens when they realize peace was never in who they're with. It was in who they used to have. Stoic truth. What you see isn't always real. The Stoics taught us, appearances are deceptive, Only the soul tells the truth. So don't be fooled by the illusion of their happiness. The people who hurt you may look successful. They may laugh louder, post more, seem fine. But the deeper question is, do they sleep in peace? Because your high-performance mindset isn't just about hustle, it's about alignment. It's about having nothing to prove. And no war within. That's the kind of wealth they can't counterfeit. Reflection. Prompt, whose peace are you chasing? Pause and ask yourself, are you trying to win by looking happy, or are you actually cultivating peace? Are you still tracking their moves, or have you reclaimed your own stillness? Because once you master your emotional intelligence, you stop performing and start living. Final takeaway. Their world may look fine, but their spirit knows what it lost. They didn't just lose a relationship. They lost someone whose presence brought calm, depth, and meaning. And no matter how much they distract themselves, there's no substitute for a soul that's at peace. So let them chase noise. Let them post and pretend. You keep choosing quiet strength, spiritual discipline, and unshakable self-worth. Because that's the kind of revenge they'll never understand and never stop feeling. You didn't curse them. You didn't expose them. You didn't even respond. You just disappeared gracefully. And now, without saying a single word, you've become their loudest consequence. Because when someone betrays you, they expect one of two reactions: rage or begging. But silence, that's terrifying. That's power they can't predict or control. Your absence feels like judgment, you see. When you're present, they can still manipulate, distract, or distort your perception. But when you're gone, you're no longer a participant in their narrative. You become a mirror they can't turn away from. Every success you build in silence, every day you don't react, it all piles onto their conscience like an invisible weight. And slowly, without warning, the guilt starts to rot from the inside. Emotional intelligence triggers their inner collapse. Here's the paradox: the calmer you become, the louder their thoughts scream. Your emotional intelligence, your refusal to play the victim or the aggressor, it removes their excuses. They can't say you were crazy. They can't say you chased them. They can't say you begged. All they're left with is themselves. And for people who betrayed you, being left alone with their own reflection is a punishment they never prepared for. The universe doesn't miss. They thought walking away from you was freedom, but what they actually walked into was silence, and the spiritual consequences that follow. Because karma doesn't show up loud. It shows up as restlessness in the middle of the night. The inability to trust new people, that gnawing feeling that something is missing but they can't name it. That something was you, your integrity, your emotional depth, your presence. And now, every new connection feels hollow by comparison. Real-life example: I didn't realize what I had. One man left his wife for a more exciting partner. 6 months later, the new relationship was in flames. He reached out with one sentence: I didn't realize how peaceful my life was until I lost it. She didn't reply. She didn't need to. Her silence was the reply. And it echoed louder than any apology. Absence builds walls they can't climb. There's something terrifying about a door that closes and never opens again. not because you hate them, but because you outgrew the need to explain your worth to people who never valued it. And that's where spiritual discipline meets emotional liberation. You stop reacting. You stop explaining. You just move on fully, completely, silently. That's when they realize you're not just gone from their life, you're gone from their future. Stoic, principle indifference is the strongest. Reply, the Stoics didn't seek revenge. They sought inner control, the best revenge. Marcus Aurelius said, is to be unlike him who did the injury. Your absence is not spite, it's wisdom. It says, I don't need you to suffer. I just need distance to thrive. And that subtle detachment hurts them more than anger ever could. Final reflection. If you've ever questioned whether they feel your absence, they do. They just won't admit it. Because to admit it would mean confessing they lost something priceless. And the human ego rarely allows that, but their restlessness, their overposting, their short temper, all signs, not that they miss you, but that they can't replace you. So don't chase, don't explain, don't look back. Your absence is your answer, and it's the kind they'll carry quietly for the rest of their lives. You didn't haunt them with threats. You didn't chase them with apologies. You didn't play games to win them back. Yet somehow, they still see you everywhere. And not because they're obsessed with you, but because their conscience never forgot you. Emotional memory doesn't fade, it repeats. When someone betrays a person of integrity, it doesn't just go away. The memory replays in the quiet moments, in the dark nights, in the stillness between fake smiles, a certain song, a scent on someone else, a place you once stood beside them. These aren't triggers. They're reminders that they lost something real. And the human psyche doesn't process that easily, not when the one they betrayed was the most emotionally intelligent presence they ever knew. They try to replace, not reflect. Most people who hurt you won't self-reflect. They'll distract. They'll jump into a new relationship, chase new highs, post curated smiles. But here's what no one sees. At 2 a.m., when the noise fades and dopamine drops, your memory returns. Because truth always echoes when the lies get quiet. And your calmness, your depth, your inner peace isn't something they can recreate with someone shallow. They'll touch new hands, hear new voices, but emotionally, they're chasing a shadow, yours. You became their internal mirror. What they fear now isn't you. It's the version of themselves they saw, reflected through you. You held up a mirror, one that revealed their emotional immaturity, one that reminded them of the love they were never taught to receive, one that showed them how far they were from peace. And after losing you, that mirror didn't disappear. It became internal. Now, every time they meet someone emotionally stable, they feel exposed. Every time someone sets a boundary, they're reminded of how they shattered yours. You became the standard they can't live up to, and that realization is inescapable. A real-life parallel. Her absence spoke louder than my ego could handle. A man once wrote online, I thought I was unbothered until the silence got louder than her presence ever did. He said he used to mock her calmness, call her too soft, too distant, too stoic. But after she left without a single insult, he couldn't stop hearing her voice in his own decisions. Would she tolerate this? Would she settle for that? She wasn't there, but her presence was still shaping his standards. That's not obsession. That's reverberation. Stoic power. Becoming unforgettable without forcing it. The Stoics taught that the highest form of strength isn't to dominate others, it's to live in such alignment with virtue that your absence exposes their flaws. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one, Marcus Aurelius, when you embody truth, clarity, emotional resilience. You don't have to fight for closure. Your character becomes the closure. Your absence becomes the teacher. Your silence becomes the sentence. And in that stillness, they feel the full weight of their mistake over and over again. Final insight. You didn't aim to be unforgettable. You just showed up as your most authentic self, calm, clear, whole. But when someone loses a soul that anchored them, there's no forgetting that. They can run cities away. They can block you, mock you, replace you. But they can't outrun the echo of the peace you once brought them, because no chaos ever feels like home again. When someone betrays a soul that was calm, kind, and sincere, they don't just hurt a person, they disturb a spiritual balance, and that disturbance always demands correction. Energy doesn't lie. You can fake smiles, you can pretend nothing happened. You can rewrite the story to make yourself look innocent. But the energy you leave behind, that never lies. When you violate someone who loved you with depth, you don't just damage the relationship, you corrupt your own spiritual integrity. And that rupture, it follows you. It doesn't care how you justify the betrayal. It follows the truth, not your narrative. Stoicism meets spiritual law. The Stoics weren't religious, but they were deeply aware of unseen forces. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "What injures the hive injures the bee," meaning, when you harm others, you indirectly harm yourself. When you betray someone's peace, you poison your own. Every act of cruelty fractures your alignment with reason, and eventually, you feel the psychological weight of your own disconnection. What goes around comes around, but not how you expect. People misunderstand karma. It's not always punishment, it's pattern recognition. Betray someone kind, you'll be haunted by their absence in your future relationships. Mock someone's silence, you'll find your words falling flat when you need connection most. Destroy someone's trust, you'll live with a mind that can't trust itself. That's karma. It doesn't yell. It reflects. It doesn't chase. It unfolds. In your patterns, in your loneliness, in the way peace starts slipping through your fingers while you're still smiling in public. Real life parallel. She left in silence, but her absence took the light with her. A man once admitted, when she left, "I thought I was free. I thought I won. But months later, I realized my entire life got darker. Not louder, just darker." He didn't lose a lover. He lost a light. And in that loss, he found himself surrounded by people who couldn't see him, understand him, or reach him. That's what betrayal does. It doesn't just push someone away, it closes the door to your own evolution. Because once you betray someone who brought spiritual grounding into your life, You also betray the version of yourself you could have become through that connection. You were a gift, not a lesson. Sometimes people say, "You were just a lesson." No, you were a gift, but they handled you so carelessly. You became a lesson, a brutal one, a necessary one, a lesson delivered by silence and karma. And now, they walk the earth thinking they lost a person, when in truth, they lost the very energy that anchored their sanity. That's not revenge. That's natural consequence. The guilt they can't outrun, even if they never admit it. There's a version of them that knows you were solid. You were rare. You were peaceful in a world of noise. And when they betrayed that, they broke something within themselves they can't fix externally. No new relationship, nor distraction. No fake spiritual awakening can substitute the quiet regret they carry. It's not loud, it's subtle, but it shadows everything. Final reflection: you don't need to seek revenge. You don't need to correct the narrative. The moment they betrayed you, they betrayed their own alignment with truth. And truth has a long memory. Let your silence speak. Let their patterns reveal the consequence, because while they try to rebuild with cracked tools, you're already rising quietly, powerfully, with spiritual discipline and peace. They can no longer reach. Silence is often mistaken for weakness, but in truth, it's the final form of strength. Because when you say nothing, you do something most people can't. You rise above the need to be understood. Emotional intelligence is knowing what deserves your energy. The emotionally reactive are always loud. They explain, they defend, they fight for clarity from people who feed on confusion. But the emotionally intelligent, they understand that most battles aren't worth the breath. They know the moment you explain yourself to someone committed to misunderstanding you, you've already lost energy. And energy is your most expensive currency. So they save it. For healing, for growth, for building a future that no longer includes people who devalue them. That's the silent win. The most powerful statements are made without words. You want to shake them, make them understand what they did. Expose the lies. Defend your heart. Reclaim your name. But here's the truth: the most cutting thing you can ever say is nothing. Because silence makes people confront themselves. It removes distractions. It reveals their reflection. And for manipulators, it's a mirror they can't control. Your silence removes their ability to twist your truth. It leaves them in a room alone, with the consequences they hoped you'd carry. That's power. When you don't react, you control the outcome. Most people give away their power the moment they react. But when you stay grounded, you send a message. You no longer have access to my peace. And that message is devastating because it tells them they're no longer relevant to your emotional world. That's the real punishment. Not screaming, not vengeance, but complete and total detachment. Stoicism, calm, is the ultimate flex. The ancient Stoics taught that true mastery lies in what you don't do. Don't beg. Don't chase. Don't explain. Instead, you observe. You detach. You transcend. In a world that rewards reaction, calmness becomes rebellion. And when you stop responding to chaos, chaos loses interest. That's the silent collapse. Not because you fought, but because you didn't. You win when you no longer need closure. People betray you and then leave behind a hole hoping you'll fall into it. They want you to seek closure because it gives them more airtime in your mind. But when you go silent, you build your own closure. And that's the ultimate freedom, because closure doesn't come from their apology. It comes from your clarity. You no longer need them to make things right because you've already made yourself whole. Real life parallel, it didn't block him. I just outgrew him. A woman once shared, I didn't yell. I didn't send a final message. I didn't block him. I just outgrew the need to be heard by someone who never listened. That's it. That's emotional evolution. And the irony, the moment she went silent, he started noticing everything. The way she no longer smiled, the absence of her voice, the energy shift. But it was too late, because her silence wasn't revenge. It was her rebirth. You're not the same. Any more silence doesn't mean you're broken. It means you've become unavailable to what once broke you. You've redefined power, not as control, not as dominance, but as the quiet refusal to shrink for anyone's comfort. You've learned that walking away without a sound echoes louder than any scream. You didn't win because they hurt. You won because you didn't need to hurt back. And that's the kind of victory only the healed ever experience. So, if they're wondering why you no longer explain yourself, why you stopped responding, why your presence became absence, it's not bitterness. It's not revenge. It's evolution. Because the loudest response isn't a scream. It's a life so elevated, so peaceful, so untouchable, that their chaos no longer reaches it. That's the silence that destroys them, not out of cruelty, but because they realize they no longer matter to someone they once had full access to, and by the time they understand that, you're already gone. Gone to better days, better people, a better version of yourself. Let this video be your mirror. If you've been silently healing, if you've walked away without closure, if your quiet has cost you relationships but earned you freedom, know this: you didn't lose them. They lost the version of you they'll never meet again. And that is your victory. We want to hear from you. Was there a moment in your life where silence became your turning point? A time you stopped defending yourself and started building yourself? Share it in the comments. Your story might be the spark someone else needs today. Don't forget to subscribe to Think Stoic 101 for daily wisdom, strength, and clarity. Smash the like button if this message spoke to your soul. Share this with someone who's choosing peace over noise. Your silence isn't weakness. It's a boundary. It's healing. It's power. And here at Think Stoic 101, we don't just survive betrayal. We transcend it. See you in the next video. Until then, stay grounded. Stay powerful. And let silence do the speaking. Life has a strange way of teaching us lessons. The more we try to control every little detail, the outcomes, the timing, the way people respond, the more frustrated and exhausted we become. We plan our lives down to the smallest steps, thinking that if we just try harder, push more, and never let go, things will finally fall into place. But what if I told you that the opposite is true? That the moment you stop forcing, stop grasping, and start trusting, everything begins to flow effortlessly. It's not about giving up. It's about understanding where your power truly lies. The Stoics mastered this way of thinking centuries ago. Marcus Aurelius once wrote about the importance of accepting what comes naturally and not wasting energy fighting against reality. He understood that struggling against things beyond our control only leads to suffering. The real battle is always within, training the mind to focus on what can be shaped and letting go of the rest. And that's exactly what we're diving into today. The mindset shift that can transform the way you approach success, relationships, and even your own peace of mind. Because if you're constantly stressed, feeling like no matter what you do, things just don't seem to go your way, there's a reason for that. You might be holding on too tightly to things that aren't meant to be controlled in the first place. This video isn't just another self-improvement talk. This is about something deeper. How to live with true confidence, to move through life with a sense of calm and certainty instead of anxiety and frustration. And trust me, if you watch until the end, you'll walk away with a completely different perspective on how to get what you want in life, without chasing it desperately. Before we get into it, there's a simple, free favor I'll ask you. If you appreciate what we're doing here, hit the subscribe button. It takes less than a second, but it helps bring this content to more people who need it. Let's dive in. Number 1. Detach from the outcome. We spend so much of our lives obsessing over results, waiting for that job offer, hoping that relationship works out, stressing over whether our efforts will pay off. We tell ourselves that if we just work a little harder, push a little more, we can force things to go our way. But what happens? The more we cling to a specific outcome, the more anxious we become. The process stops feeling fulfilling, and our happiness becomes entirely dependent on something we can't fully control. And that's where we trap ourselves. The Stoics understood this well. Epictetus taught that we suffer not because of what happens, but because of our attachment to what we want to happen. He said, "Do not seek for things to happen the way you want them to. Rather, wish that what happens happens as it should, and you will be happy." In other words, instead of tying your happiness to a specific outcome, focus on the process. Focus on what you can control, your actions, your discipline, your mindset, and let go of everything else. Think about an artist painting a masterpiece. If they're obsessed with making every brushstroke perfect, worrying about how others will judge their work, they'll never get into a creative flow. But when they detach from the final result and simply focus on the act of painting, something incredible happens. They become fully immersed in the moment. The work becomes effortless. And ironically, that's when they create their best art. The same principle applies to everything in life: work, relationships, personal growth. When you stop fixating on how things must turn out, you give yourself the freedom to enjoy the journey. This is especially true in relationships. Have you ever seen someone try too hard to impress another person? Their energy feels needy, desperate, almost forced. And what happens? It pushes people away. But when someone is confident, at ease with themselves, and not obsessed with a particular outcome, they naturally attract others. Why? Because they're not controlled by fear. They trust that whatever is meant to happen will happen. That's the power of detachment. Now let's talk about success. So many people believe that if they don't achieve a specific goal by a certain time, they've failed. They treat life like a rigid checklist. Graduate by this age, make this much money, get married, achieve this level of success. And if things don't go according to plan, they spiral into self-doubt. But here's the thing, success isn't a straight path. It's full of twists, setbacks, and unexpected opportunities. If you're too attached to one outcome, you might miss an even better one that life is trying to bring your way. Take a moment and ask yourself, what am I holding on to too tightly? What goal, expectation, or outcome is causing me stress? Now imagine what would happen if you released that grip, not giving up, but trusting that whatever happens, you'll be okay. That's detachment. It doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop needing things to go a certain way to feel at peace. So how do you practice this in real life? First, remind yourself daily that outcomes are beyond your control. All you can control is your effort, your discipline, and your mindset. Second, reframe your thinking. Instead of, "I need this to happen," shift to, "I trust that whatever happens will be for my growth." And finally, focus on the present moment. The more you immerse yourself in now, the less power the future has over you. Number 2, master your mindset. Life throws challenges at us constantly. Some days everything flows effortlessly, and other days it feels like the world is working against you. The difference between people who crumble under pressure and those who thrive isn't luck, it's mindset. The way you think shapes how you experience life, and if you don't learn to master your mind will master you. You can't always control what happens around you, the economy, other people's actions, unexpected obstacles, but you can control how you respond. That's where real power lies. When you shift your mindset from reacting to responding, everything changes. Psychologist William James, often called the father of modern psychology, once said, "The greatest weapon against stress is our ability to choose one thought over another." This is exactly what the Stoics taught. You don't have to believe every thought that enters your mind. You don't have to let every difficult moment define you. Instead, you can train yourself to reframe situations, to step back and see them from a new perspective. Here's another example. Imagine you're going through a tough time at work. You keep making mistakes, your boss is breathing down your neck, and you feel like you're failing. One way to approach this is to think, "I'm terrible at this. I'll never get better. Maybe I'm just not good enough." That's a fixed mindset, and it traps you in self-doubt. But what if you changed that thought? What if instead you said, "I'm learning. Every mistake is teaching me something. The pressure I'm feeling is helping me grow." That's a growth mindset, and it allows you to turn struggles into opportunities. The Stoics believed that every challenge is an opportunity to practice virtue, patience, resilience, wisdom. Seneca once said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." That means every struggle, every setback, every moment of frustration is actually training you to be stronger. Think of it like lifting weights. If you never push yourself, you never build strength. The same is true for your mind. But let's be honest. Mastering your mindset isn't something that happens overnight. It takes daily practice. One simple way to start: pay attention to your inner dialogue. Are you constantly feeding yourself thoughts of fear, doubt, and negativity? Or are you training yourself to see opportunities, to reframe situations, to stay calm in the face of uncertainty? Your mind is like a garden. What you plant is what grows. If you plant seeds of fear and anxiety, that's what will take over. But if you plant seeds of strength, clarity, and resilience, those will grow instead. Another way to strengthen your mindset: train yourself to stay in the present. So much stress comes from obsessing over the past or worrying about the future. But the only thing you can ever control is this moment, right now. The next time you feel overwhelmed, ask yourself, what can I do right now that will move me forward? That one question can snap you out of panic and bring you back to what matters. Number 3, trust in divine timing. Patience is one of the hardest things to practice, especially when you're working towards something important. You've put in the effort, done everything right, and yet nothing seems to be happening. It's frustrating, isn't it? The world tells us that success should come quickly, that if we're not seeing instant results, we must be doing something wrong. But the truth is, life doesn't operate on our schedule. It moves according to its own rhythm, and trying to rush the process often leads to disappointment. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus once said, "No great thing is created suddenly." Think about that. Anything truly valuable, wisdom, strength, success, takes time to develop. Just like you can't force a tree to grow faster by pulling on its branches, you can't force life to give you what you want before the time is right. There is an order to things, and when you learn to trust that timing, you free yourself from so much unnecessary stress. Imagine a young artist who dreams of making a name for themselves. They work tirelessly, pouring their heart into their craft, but they're not seeing the recognition they want. At this point, they have two choices. They can either become frustrated, lose faith, and give up, or they can trust that every brushstroke, every piece of work, is preparing them for something greater, even if they can't see it yet. Those who trust the process keep going, and eventually they find themselves exactly where they're meant to be. We live in a culture of instant gratification. Fast food, fast information, fast success. We've been conditioned to believe that if something doesn't happen quickly, it's not worth waiting for. But some things must take time. Relationships, personal growth, mastering a skill, all of these require patience. Socrates once said, "To do is to be." This means that growth is in the process, not just the outcome. If you're always focused on when something will happen, you miss out on who you are becoming along the way. But here's the tricky part. How do you stay patient when you feel like nothing is happening? The Stoics would say, focus on what's in your control. You can't control the timing, but you can control your actions. You can keep showing up, keep putting in the work, keep growing as a person. And most importantly, you can trust that if something is meant for you, it will come. Not a second too early or too late. One of the greatest lessons Stoicism teaches is the power of acceptance. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together." Instead of resisting life's timing, learn to embrace it. If things aren't happening as fast as you want, maybe it's because you're still in the process of becoming the person who is ready for them. Number 4, act with purpose, not desperation. Have you ever noticed that when you desperately chase something, it always seems to move further away? Whether it's a job, a relationship, or even success, the more frantic and needy your energy, the more things seem to slip through your fingers. It's almost like the universe senses desperation and responds by pulling back. But when you act with purpose, with calm confidence, everything starts to align naturally. There's a powerful difference between chasing and attracting. The Stoics understood this well. Epictetus once said, "First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." In other words, before you act, be clear on why you're acting. Desperate action comes from fear. Fear of missing out, fear of failure, fear of not being enough. But purposeful action comes from a place of clarity and strength. When you know who you are and what you stand for, your actions become more deliberate, more grounded. Let's take an example. Imagine two people searching for a job. The first person is desperate. They send out applications everywhere, applying for jobs they don't even want, panicking over every rejection. Their energy is scattered, anxious, and uncertain. The second person, however, is focused. They know their strengths, they take time to craft meaningful applications, and they prepare without obsessing over immediate results. Who do you think is more likely to get hired? The one who is calm, confident, and strategic, not the one who is acting from fear. This applies to relationships too. If you enter a relationship out of desperation, fearing loneliness, seeking validation, it often leads to disappointment. But when you approach relationships with self-respect and confidence, You attract healthier, more fulfilling connections. People are drawn to those who are secure in themselves, not those who are grasping for attention. Aristotle spoke of eudaimonia, a state of living with purpose and fulfillment. He believed that true happiness comes not from chasing external things, but from aligning your actions with your virtues and values. This is exactly what the Stoics taught. Act with wisdom, integrity and purpose, and let the outcomes take care of themselves. When you move with intention rather than panic, you start making better decisions. You stop wasting time on things that don't align with your true goals. Think of a seasoned chess player versus a beginner. The beginner reacts impulsively, making moves out of fear and uncertainty. The expert, however, plays with patience, seeing the bigger picture, making deliberate choices. Life works the same way. If you're constantly reacting to fear, you'll make choices that lead to more chaos. But if you take a step back, act with clarity, and trust the process, you move closer to the life you actually want. So how do you shift from acting out of desperation to acting with purpose? First, get clear on your why. Ask yourself, am I doing this because I truly want it, or because I'm afraid of not having it? Second, slow down. Desperation rushes, purpose moves with patience. Instead of making decisions from a place of fear, give yourself time to reflect and choose wisely. And finally, trust yourself. You don't need to force things into place. When you act with confidence and alignment, opportunities naturally come your way. Seneca once said, "We suffer more in imagination than in reality." A lot of desperation comes from imagined fears. What if I don't succeed? What if I fail? But the truth is, you are stronger than you think, and you don't need to scramble for what's meant for you. Act with purpose, move with confidence, and watch how life starts to align in your favor. Number 5. Let go of control. Have you ever felt exhausted from trying to control everything? You plan, you push, you strategize, but somehow life still doesn't unfold the way you expect. It's frustrating, isn't it? You try to make people act a certain way, force circumstances into place, and predict every possible outcome, only to find yourself feeling more stressed and less in control than ever. The harder you grip, the more things slip through your fingers. But here's the paradox. The moment you let go, life starts to work in your favor. The Stoics understood this deeply. Epictetus said, "Freedom is the only worthy goal in life. It is won by disregarding things that lie beyond our control." Think about that. True freedom doesn't come from controlling everything around you. It comes from letting go of the need to control. The more energy you spend trying to manage things that aren't yours to manage, other people's opinions, the future, the past, the more you drain yourself. But when you shift your focus to what you can control, your thoughts, your actions, your responses, you reclaim your power. Take relationships, for example. Have you ever tried to change someone? Maybe you wanted a friend, a partner, or a family member to behave differently, to be more understanding, more supportive, more aligned with your expectations. But no matter how much you tried, they stayed the same. That's because people are not ours to control. We can communicate, we can set boundaries, we can choose who we allow in our lives, but we can't force someone to change. When you release that need, you free yourself from frustration and allow relationships to unfold naturally. The same applies to success. So many people believe that if they just push harder, they'll reach their goals faster. But there's a difference between effort and control. You should absolutely work toward your goals, but obsessing over every tiny detail, stressing about timing, and fearing failure only creates resistance. Seneca once said, "Fate leads the willing and drags along the reluctant." In other words, when you fight against the natural flow of life, you create unnecessary struggle. But when you trust the process and focus on what's in your power, things unfold with much greater ease. Imagine you're preparing for an important interview. You've done the research, you've practiced, and you're ready. But instead of trusting in your preparation, you start overthinking. What if they ask me a question I don't know? What if I mess up? What if I don't get the job? Now your energy is shifting from confidence to anxiety. You walk into the interview nervous, tense, and second-guessing yourself. That need for control is actually making you perform worse. But if you take a deep breath, remind yourself that you've done the work, and let go of the outcome, you walk in relaxed, present, and much more likely to succeed. So how do you start letting go of control? First, recognize what is and isn't within your power. The Stoics believed in the dichotomy of control. There are things we can influence and things we can't. Wasting energy on the uncontrollable only leads to frustration. Second, practice acceptance. Life won't always go according to plan, but that doesn't mean it's going wrong. Sometimes detours lead to better destinations. And finally, build trust, not just in life, but in yourself. Trust that you can handle whatever comes, even if it's not what you expected. Number 6, embody the energy of abundance. Have you ever noticed that some people seem to attract success, opportunities, and even happiness effortlessly? It's not that they have some secret advantage, it's their mindset. The way they think, the way they carry themselves, and the way they see the world creates a reality where abundance flows to them naturally. On the other hand, people who constantly focus on what they lack seem to struggle endlessly, no matter how hard they work. It's not about luck, it's about the energy you bring into your life. The Stoics understood this long before modern psychology confirmed it. Epictetus said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." True abundance isn't about hoarding money, collecting achievements, or endlessly chasing more. It's about realizing that you already have everything you need to live a fulfilled life. When you stop operating from a mindset of scarcity, believing you never have enough, you make room for more to come to you naturally. Imagine two people walk into the same room. One is focused on everything they don't have. They compare themselves to others, feel like they're falling behind, and believe that success is always out of reach. Their energy is heavy, their words are filled with doubt, and they unknowingly repel opportunities. The second person walks in with the belief that they have enough knowledge, enough skills, enough opportunities ahead of them. They engage confidently, build connections naturally, and end up walking away with new possibilities. The only difference? One person was living in scarcity, the other in abundance. And it's not just about money or success. It applies to relationships, happiness, and even time. If you believe there's never enough love, never enough time, never enough good people in the world, then your mind will always look for proof of that belief. But if you shift your focus, you'll start seeing opportunities everywhere. You'll recognize the kindness in others, the possibilities in each moment, and the blessings that already exist in your life. Psychologist William James once said, "The greatest discovery of my generation is that a human being can alter his life by altering his attitudes." If you constantly feel like you're missing something, your brain will focus on that lack. But if you train your mind to see abundance, if you practice gratitude, confidence, and trust in life, you start shifting your entire reality. It's not magic, it's perception. What you focus on grows. Think about a musician who approaches their career with a scarcity mindset. They constantly worry that there aren't enough opportunities, that the industry is too competitive, that they'll never make it. Every rejection feels like proof of their fears. Because of this, they play it safe, hesitate to take risks, and miss out on potential breakthroughs. Now, imagine another musician who believes in abundance. They see every rejection as redirection, every challenge as an opportunity to improve. They take more risks, connect with more people, and eventually find success, not because they were luckier, but because they embodied abundance instead of fear. So how do you start embodying abundance in your own life? First, start with gratitude. Instead of focusing on what's missing, focus on what's already here. When you appreciate what you have, you attract more of it. Second, act as if you already have enough. Move through life with confidence, knowing that opportunities are everywhere. And finally, release attachment. Trust that what's meant for you will come, not through force, but through alignment with your actions and beliefs. Number 7, take aligned action and let go. Have you ever caught yourself obsessing over a goal, pushing harder and harder, only to feel like you're running in circles? You do everything right, follow every step, and yet the results don't show up as fast as you want them to. It's frustrating, isn't it? We've been taught that success is all about effort, about never stopping, never letting go. But here's what most people don't realize. There's a difference between aligned action and desperate action. And sometimes the real key to progress is knowing when to act and when to step back. The Stoics had a deep understanding of this. Seneca once said, "Effort and patience will achieve more than force and anxiety." We live in a culture that glorifies the grind. The idea that if you just work hard enough, things have to go your way. But real success isn't about blind effort. It's about taking the right steps, staying open to opportunity, and then allowing life to unfold. The problem with forcing things is that it creates resistance. It's like pulling at a knot. The harder you yank, the tighter it becomes. Imagine you're trying to fall asleep. You can't force yourself to sleep, right? The more you try to sleep, the more restless you become. But the moment you relax, let go, and trust that sleep will come, it happens naturally. The same is true for success, relationships, and even personal growth. You have to take action, yes, but you also have to trust the process. Think of a farmer planting seeds. They prepare the soil, plant the seeds, water them, and make sure they get enough sunlight. But after that, they don't dig up the seeds every day, demanding that they grow faster. They trust that, in time, the crops will flourish. If they tried to rush the process, they'd only damage what they planted. Life works the same way. You take action, you do your part, but then you have to trust that things will develop at their own pace. This applies to every aspect of life. Take relationships, for example. Have you ever met someone who tried too hard? Maybe they were overly eager, texting too much, always needing reassurance. Their energy felt heavy, almost desperate. But then there's the person who is calm, confident, who shows interest but also gives space. They naturally attract others because they aren't forcing anything. That's what happens when you take aligned action and let go. You create space for things to flow instead of suffocating them. Or think about your career. Maybe you've been hustling, trying to force every opportunity, but nothing seems to be moving forward. Now, what if instead of panicking, you trusted that your work was enough? What if you focused on being excellent at what you do, building meaningful connections, and allowing the right doors to open when they're meant to? This doesn't mean you sit back and do nothing. It means you stop trying to control every outcome. You take smart, purposeful action, and then trust that what's meant for you will come. Marcus Aurelius, in Meditations, wrote, "Do what you must and let what happens happen." This is the essence of aligned action. You focus on what's in your control, your efforts, your discipline, your mindset, but you don't obsess over the results. Because the truth is, no matter how much you plan, no matter how hard you push, there will always be things outside your control. And the more you resist that truth, the more stressed and frustrated you become. So how do you actually practice this in your daily life? First, get clear on your goal and take the necessary steps. Prepare, train, learn, do your part. Second, let go of the need to control when and how the results show up. Accept that timing isn't always up to you. And third, trust in your own resilience. Even if things don't go exactly as you planned, you'll adapt, you'll grow, and you'll find new opportunities along the way. At the end of the day, life isn't about controlling every outcome. It's about mastering yourself. The moment you shift your focus from chasing to aligning, from forcing to flowing, everything starts to fall into place. The Stoics knew this truth centuries ago, and now it's yours to apply. So, take a deep breath, trust the process, and remember, real power comes from within. If this video resonated with you, there's another one on the screen right now that will take you even deeper into Stoic wisdom. Click on it and keep learning. And if you haven't already, hit subscribe so you never miss a new insight. Thanks for being a part of Stoic Journal. I'll see you in the next one. Hey Stoic warriors, welcome back to my channel. Have you ever stare into the mirror and feel like a stranger is looking back? A man you don't even recognize? Like you've been drifting through life, numb, detached, caught in the same dead-end cycles, watching your own potential rot while time rips through your fingers like a raging river. Maybe you let yourself slip. Maybe life hit you so brutally, so relentlessly, that you stopped fighting back. You got used to the weight. You got used to feeling stuck. You got used to being less than what you know you were meant to be. And now the fire inside you? It's nothing but flickering embers. But let me tell you something. Fire never truly dies. It waits. It waits for oxygen. It waits for a spark. And right now you have a choice. Feed it or let it go out forever. A man who bows to comfort is a man who chains himself to weakness. A man who fears hardship is a man already defeated. And a man who refuses to change? He's digging his own grave with every wasted second. A Stoic doesn't beg for an easy road. He doesn't wish for things to be different. He takes what he's given and bends it to his will. Pain, he turns it into power. Rejection, he turns it into resilience. Loss, he turns it into wisdom. He doesn't kneel before suffering. He makes suffering kneel before him. Every man reaches a moment where he has to burn away the old version of himself. Not someday, not later, now. No more hoping, no more waiting, no more dragging dead weight behind you. Kill the weakness, bury the excuses, rip yourself from the grave you've been lying in, and rebuild yourself with fire in your chest and steel in your spine. This is where everything changes. But it means nothing if you just sit there, move, act. Do not let this fire die in you. And while you're at it, smash that like button, subscribe, and lock in. Because this isn't just another video. This is the moment you either wake up or fade away. Now, let's get to work. Number 1. Reset. Burn the past and release the weight. You can't move forward if you're still shackled to the ghosts of yesterday. The weight of old mistakes, bitter regrets, faded versions of yourself that no longer serve you. Cut them loose. Tear them apart. Burn them. That breakup that tore you apart. It wasn't a death sentence. It was a wake-up call. Every drop of blood, sweat, and tear that you spilled in that relationship, it's over. Let it burn. Let it go. If it doesn't fuel your fire, it's just ash in the wind. The failures that stalk your mind like a predator, whispering that you're not enough. They don't own you. They never did. They were lessons in disguise, scars that forged you. Let them sharpen you, not cripple you. They were never your end. They were your beginning. The people who doubted you, betrayed you, and left you to bleed in silence? They did you a favor. They weren't the ones you needed. They were the ones you outgrew. They showed you who they were, and now you see clearly. They were never worthy of your time, your trust, your love. Let them fade into the background while you rise in the spotlight. You're free now, no chains. Some men cling to the past as if it's their identity. They carry it like a badge, letting it define them. I messed up before, so I'll mess up again. That's weakness. That's fear speaking. That's not who you are. You are not your mistakes. You are not the man who faltered in the past. The man you were yesterday is dead. The man who stands before you now is reborn, forged in the fire of adversity. And the man who you are becoming is something the world has yet to see. As Marcus Aurelius said, the past is a thing that's beyond us. It's gone. It's over. There's nothing left but what you do next. Your past is a shadow, a ghost that you can obliterate with one simple choice: to let it go. You owe your old self nothing. That man who failed, who stumbled, who suffered, he no longer has a hold on you. Reset. Clean the slate. Rip the contracts you signed with your past self and set the papers on fire. You don't owe that man a damn thing. As the Stoics believed, everything, even the pain, even the wounds, even the failure, is a gift. Not one moment of suffering was wasted. Every scar carved deep into your skin was a lesson. But now it's time to let go of the weight, to release what no longer serves you. The past isn't your burden anymore. Can you feel it? The fire that ignites inside you when you cut those invisible chains? The rush of power as you sever your ties to everything that held you down, everything that told you you can't. That's freedom. That's the taste of the life you've been holding back from. The world doesn't own you anymore. You are not the man you were yesterday, nor are you the man you might have been. You are the man who rises from the ashes. The power of your future is in your hands, not your past. Let it burn. Let it fuel you. Let it free you. The past is nothing but fuel for the fire. Burn it. Rise from the ashes. Your future is waiting for you. Number 2. Restart. Build a new foundation. Most people stay stuck because they're terrified of starting over. They're afraid of the sweat, the grind, the awkwardness of being a beginner. They fear the discomfort that comes with rebuilding. But listen closely. Restarting is not weakness. It's raw, untamed power. It's the spark that turns your world from rubble to revolution. You want to know what separates the unstoppable from the average. It's not that they never fell. It's not that they never faced destruction. No, it's that they embraced it. When their path was shattered, when the old road crumbled beneath their feet, they didn't sit in the dust and cry. They rose, they rebuilt, they rebirthed their life from the wreckage. This is where power is forged. When everything you've known falls apart, you have two choices: to stay down or to rise and build something stronger. The world has no mercy. It will tear you apart. But how you respond, that's what defines you. Seneca, the Stoic giant, said, "Difficulties strengthen the mind as labor does the body. Every setback, every failure, every moment you want to quit, that's your forge. The pain, the struggle, the tearing down, it's not the end. It's your beginning. The old path is dead. That's the point. You're not just surviving, you're rebuilding your life, stronger and fiercer than ever before." The Stoics didn't just survive life, they conquered it. They understood that when everything is stripped away, what you have left is you. And that's where the power lies. Not in what you've lost, but in what you can rebuild from the ashes. Think about it. Every legend, every unstoppable force that history remembers. They all faced the ultimate test, the breaking point. But they didn't collapse. They didn't crumble. They restarted. They walked through hell, only to rise from the flames with a power that could move mountains. They turned destruction into their defining moment. Now it's your turn. Every restart is a battle, a chance to forge your future with your bare hands. And you will be tested. You'll feel the pain, the doubt, the desire to quit. But don't you dare back down. This is your moment. This is where the real you begins, reborn, relentless and unstoppable. Seneca's words ring louder than ever. We suffer more often in imagination than in reality. Stop imagining failure. Stop fearing it. Walk through it. Embrace it. And rise like a storm. This is how you take control of your life. This is how you rewrite your story. Forget who you were before. You are the architect of your own fate. And what you're about to build, it's going to be legendary. Number 3, refocus. Lock in on your mission. Look around. Take a long, hard look at the world you're living in. What do you see? People running in circles, minds lost in the noise, scrolling endlessly, jumping from one empty distraction to the next, each click stealing their time, their life, their soul. And what do they have to show for it? Nothing. Time is their enemy, but they don't even see it. They waste their days like they have infinite ones ahead. Weeks slip away, unnoticed. Months vanish into thin air like smoke fading into the night. Years. They're already gone, and they haven't even realized it. They've squandered every precious moment on the trivial, the meaningless, the insignificant. And in the end, when they finally wake up, it's too late. This is the life of most people. They dream of greatness, of success, of living something extraordinary, but they never even begin. Why? Because they're scattered, they're distracted, they lack focus. You see, success, real success, demands more than effort. It demands an obsession, a laser-sharp focus that nothing, no one can break. It demands absolute dedication, an unwavering commitment that's stronger than any excuse, any distraction, any temptation. It's a war on everything that doesn't serve your mission, and most aren't willing to fight it. But if you're ready, if you're prepared to go to war with the world, to sacrifice everything that doesn't matter and relentlessly chase your purpose, then you must be willing to lock in. No room for hesitation, no space for doubt, no pause for pity. Real success is a battlefield. You can't wander aimlessly and expect victory. You must zero in on your target with ruthless clarity. Every action, every decision, every step focused, every single breath directed toward that one mission. And let the world fall apart around you. Let the noise of other people's failures drown out. Let their distractions become a chorus of irrelevance. You are not them. You are not here to follow. You are here to lead. You must live with a fire burning inside you, a fire that consumes every ounce of hesitation, every ounce of uncertainty. That fire should be so fierce that nothing, not even the darkest storms, can extinguish it. This is where true strength lies, not in trying to juggle everything and please everyone, but in burning away all the fluff and noise and focusing on what's yours to control. Because that's where the power is, and that's where the truth lies. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, taught us the real meaning of freedom. Freedom is the only true possession. It's the freedom to choose your actions, to choose your thoughts, and to choose your focus. The distractions of the world, not yours to carry. The noise, not yours to listen to. You only control one thing, the path you take. The rest? It's out of your hands. You can't afford to waste your energy on anything that doesn't serve your mission. If it doesn't bring you closer to your goal, it's an obstacle, a wall, a chain dragging you down. So, ask yourself, what are you really fighting for? What's worth your time, your energy, your soul? That's where your focus must go. No compromise, no weakness, no wavering. The time to act is now. Your moment is here. You want to be untouchable? You want to live a life that shakes the earth? Then live it. Live it with every fiber of your being. Stand up. Refuse to be ordinary. Refuse to be distracted. Refuse to be one of the masses who wake up one day and realize their best years are behind them. Focus like your life depends on it, because it does. Epictetus also said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." Imagine what your life could look like if you focused on only one thing, your mission. What if you stopped chasing everything that didn't matter and placed all your energy on the one thing that could change everything? That's the Stoic way. That's the warrior's way. And that's how you win. You have one shot at this. Don't squander it on distractions. Burn away the noise. Tunnel vision. Be obsessed. Because in the end, when you've done the work, when you've given everything, when you've focused on the grind and the sacrifice, it won't just be about success. It will be about legacy. And that's something no one can ever take from you. Lock in. Refocus. The world will bend at your will. Number 4. Protect your energy. Not everyone deserves access to you. Not everyone is worthy of even a single second of your time. Not everyone deserves a place in your life, your mind, your world. Your energy, your very essence, is sacred. And there are people out there who will stop at nothing to steal it from you, to suck it dry, to break you down until there's nothing left but a hollow shell. Some people are not just distractions, they are destroyers. They are parasites, leeches that latch on and drain your spirit, your passion, your drive, leaving you weaker with every interaction. Every moment you waste on them is a moment stolen from your future. Every word you waste on them is a piece of your power gone forever. You give them your time, and they take pieces of you that you'll never get back. You can't keep doing this. You can't keep handing out your energy like it's something disposable, like it's something anyone can take. Your energy is the core of who you are, and if you let anyone come into your life and rob you of it, you're not just losing time. You're losing your essence, your drive, your very future. It's time to wake up. It's time to treat your energy like the most precious resource you possess, because it is. Protect it. Guard it like a lion guards its pride. Stop letting people use you, drain you, manipulate you. Cut them off, cold. No hesitation, no excuses, no apologies. Just silence. Because that's what they deserve, nothing. And don't look back. No explanations, no justifications. You don't owe anyone an explanation for protecting yourself. You don't owe anyone a damn thing for preserving your peace, your power, your purpose. If they can't respect that, they don't belong in your life. Walk away. It doesn't matter how long you've known them, how close they were, or how much they once meant. If they're not adding value to your life, they're taking it. And if they're taking, you need to cut the cord. Quick, clean, without regret. The moment you start protecting your energy is the moment you step into a power you can't even imagine. You'll feel it pulse through you. Unshakable, unrelenting, unstoppable. A strength that no one can touch, no one can break, no one can control. You'll become a force to be reckoned with. People will feel it, whether they admit it or not, and the ones who don't respect it will be left in your dust. You're not here to be anyone's emotional punching bag. You're not here to be the one who gets drained while everyone else takes. The people who deserve to be in your life, the ones who truly value you, will rise to meet your energy. They'll know you're a force and they'll honor that. They'll never take you for granted because they understand the power it takes to protect your energy. But for the others, cut them off. Let them go. You don't need them. You don't need anyone who can't stand beside you in your strength, who can't match your energy. The moment you let go of the anchors that weigh you down is the moment you will soar. You'll become something you never imagined, stronger, sharper, more focused than you ever believed possible. Unbreakable, unstoppable. The Stoics knew this truth. They understood that your power lies in what you control. You control your energy. You control who gets access to it. And when you take that power back, when you stop giving it away to people who don't deserve it, you'll realize just how much you've been holding back. The life you've been waiting for, the greatness you've been destined for, is locked in that power. So stop wasting your energy. Stop letting people steal from you. Guard it like the treasure it is. The moment you do, you'll unlock a force within yourself that is more than just unstoppable. It's invincible. And when you realize that, when you start living by it, there's nothing that can stand in your way. Number 5. Discipline over feelings. Build unbreakable habits. Motivation is nothing more than a spark. Fragile, fickle, and fleeting. It flares up for a moment, bright and full of promise, only to burn out when the first challenge hits. Discipline, however, is the fire that doesn't need a spark. It consumes everything in its path, burning relentlessly, unfazed by setbacks, storms, or moments of doubt. If you're waiting for the right moment or the perfect feeling, you are already losing. That moment will never come. It's an illusion, a mirage. If you're waiting to feel ready, you'll be waiting forever. The world doesn't care about your feelings, and neither does success. Winners don't wait for motivation to knock on their door. They move, no matter how they feel. They move when their body aches, when their mind tells them to quit, when the fear of failure grips them by the throat. They move because they've learned that feelings are weak and discipline is invincible. Your feelings, they will betray you. They will lie to you and tell you to take the easy road, to skip the struggle, to rest, to pause, to delay, to take the path that leads to comfort. They will tell you that you deserve a break when what you truly deserve is to conquer the pain, to push through it, to emerge from it stronger than before. But here's the cold truth. Feelings are temporary. The fleeting rush of motivation, the thrill of a new idea, it will fade. The desire to rest, the temptation to let go, will always creep in when you need to fight the hardest. You're not here to live in comfort. You're here to build a life that can't be broken, to create something so resilient, so unstoppable, that it stands strong in the face of every challenge life throws at you. Discipline is the weapon that forges this life. Discipline is the shield that protects you from your own weakness, the hammer that shapes your future. This isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up every single day, no matter what. Even when the world tells you that you're not enough, that you can't make it, that you should quit. Discipline is the choice to keep going when every part of you screams to stop. It's a commitment that you make to yourself, an unbreakable vow that nothing, not the storm, not the doubt, not the failure, will ever destroy. Marcus Aurelius, a master of Stoicism, understood this better than anyone. He didn't talk about waiting for inspiration or searching for motivation. He said, The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. Every obstacle in your path is not there to break you, but to forge you. Every moment you think you can't go on, that's the exact moment your discipline must roar louder than your doubts. That is where your power is born. You have to understand this. Your greatest growth lies in your struggle. The more you resist, the more you push through, the stronger you become. Every day you choose discipline, you're shaping a version of yourself that the world cannot tear down. You're building a machine of willpower, a titan of self-control, a force that can move mountains simply by its unwavering resolve. So stop waiting for the perfect moment. Stop waiting to feel ready. You're never going to feel ready, but you can decide to be ready right now, today. You have the power to make the choice to show up, to keep fighting, to build those habits that will carve you into something unshakable. As Marcus said, waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one. And that's the truth of it. Be one. Be the man who chooses discipline over comfort, who chooses to move forward even when the world tells him to fall back. Be the one who keeps rising, no matter how hard it gets, no matter how heavy the weight on your shoulders feels. Be the one who cannot be stopped. Let your discipline burn hotter than any motivation. Let it consume every excuse, every fear, and every moment of hesitation. And when the world doubts you, when everyone around you gives up, be the one who keeps going, unbreakable and unstoppable. That's where the real power lies. Listen closely. This is the crossroads. No one's coming to save you. No one's handing you a second chance. It's just you and the raw reality of your choices. You either obliterate your past or carry its weight like a ghost, haunting your every step. You either burn down the old you or watch yourself rot in the same cycle. You either forge a new beginning that shakes your soul, or you stay lost, trapped in your own regret. Unleash the past. Destroy the person who kept making excuses. Reinvent yourself. Build something so relentless it rattles the world. Ignite your willpower. Funnel every drop of your energy into this moment. No turning back, no distractions. The choice? It's savage. It's final. It's yours. If this struck you to the core, if this cracked something wide open in you, smash that like, drop a comment saying, "I'm annihilating my old self today," and hit subscribe. No more waiting. No more wishing. This is your moment to rise. No holding back. Tear down everything that's kept you small. Let's set the world on fire. Have you ever experienced being overwhelmed by the stormy seas of your emotions or feeling lost in the turbulence of negative thoughts? Would you believe me if I told you that the ancient wisdom of Stoicism could help you find your way through this dark time? Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not over outside events." Today, we examine these profound words. Realize this, and you will find strength. This powerful statement starts a journey that will change your life. Come on this journey with us as we find 7 lessons from Stoicism that are not just lessons, but ways of life. With a heart full of courage and a mind full of unwavering emotions, these lessons will guide you to control your emotions and sail through life's storms. In the midst of life's chaos, welcome to How to Get Rid of Negative Thoughts Using Stoicism, your guide to finding peace. Lesson 1. Know what you can control. Have you ever found yourself in a storm, but not the kind with rain and thunder, but the storms of life? Unexpected events, letdowns, or abrupt modifications. The The dichotomy of control is a lesson from the Stoic philosophers of ancient Greece and Rome that feels like a lifeline in these storms. Think about this. You're planning an outdoor event, but it rains at the last minute. No matter how much you'd like to, you can't control the weather. But how you feel about the rain is completely up to you. You could be sad and angry, or you could figure out a way to deal with it. For example, you could move the event inside or enjoy the rain as a change. A Stoic philosopher named Epictetus, who was born a slave and became one of the most important thinkers of his time, said, "Some things are in our control and others not." That sounds easy, doesn't it? But there is a profound wisdom found in this simplicity that has the power to change our lives. We face many situations every day. Some of them we can change, like the books we read, the people we hang out with, and our daily routines. But there are many things we can't control, like global events, other people's actions, time passing, and yes, the weather. This is where things get interesting. Stoic philosophers thought that how we interpret and respond to external events determines how happy we are. Our emotions aren't caused by the event itself, but by how we think about it. Remember a time when you had to face adversity. Perhaps you didn't get the job you wanted. Everything felt bad at the time. But after some time, you may have realized it was actually a blessing in disguise that led you to a better chance or personal growth. But how are we going to make this work? Ask yourself, is this something I can control? If the answer is yes, then you should do something about it. If the answer is no, it's a chance to work on being able to accept and change things. We can free ourselves from needless pain by really understanding and internalizing this principle. Knowing that we can't control the wind but can adjust our sails allows us to move through life with calmness. The dichotomy of control is a bright light in a world that often seems out of order. It reminds us to put our energy where it counts most and to enjoy the peace that comes from knowing that some things are out of our control. Second lesson, think before you act. People today value speed and immediacy, so the art of reflection may seem like a thing of the past. So, taking the time to think and pause can be our saving grace in a world where we need to act quickly. Think about how many decisions we face, both big and small, from picking a restaurant meal to choosing a career path. There are many options, but it's not the size of the choices that matter, it's how we approach them. As an example, let's look at reading a message that makes you feel something. Someone at work might be questioning your work, or a friend might make a casual comment. Your first thought might be to defend yourself or get angry. You could jump right into that emotional whirlpool, but what if you took a step back? Your emotions aren't being pushed down when you give yourself that brief break. They're just being given a chance to breathe and be understood. Reflection is not about avoiding or accepting our thoughts and feelings without doing anything. It's about being present with them. It means asking deep questions like, why did this comment hurt me so much? My current emotions are being influenced by what underlying beliefs or experiences I have had. Is my first reaction based on what's happening now or on things that happened in the past? Also, thinking about what you're going to say before you say it is a way to build empathy. By giving ourselves time, we also give ourselves the chance to see things from other people's points of view. That coworker or friend may have been having a rough day and didn't realize how important what they said was. When we think about things, we help ourselves and those around us understand them better. This habit can be very important in relationships. How many misunderstandings could we avoid if we stopped to think before we spoke? How many bridges could be built instead of being destroyed? We find clarity, compassion, and connection when we take time to think. Also, being able to stop and think is very useful in professional settings. People usually respect and follow leaders more who think about their choices before making them. People think they are thoughtful, calm, and smart. Most of the time, their choices, which come from deep thought, last. Reflection is a way to rebel against a world that often seems to be moving at breakneck speed. It's a quiet but powerful way to say that we won't be swept away by the currents of immediacy. Making this promise means that we will take care of ourselves, be happy, and treat others well. It's not just a practice to think before you act. It's a philosophy, a way of life that values depth over breadth, understanding over impulsivity, and lasting connections over fleeting ones. It's a journey inside that has profound effects on the outside world, influencing not only how we react, but also how our lives are put together. Lesson 3. Learn to be impartial. To someone who lives in a world that is often emotional, the idea of practicing dispassion may seem strange. But let's look more closely at what it really means and the power it has to change things. Dispassion isn't about hiding your emotions or not caring about what's going on around you. It's about finding a calm in the middle of the storm. Imagine not feeling overwhelmed by events, circumstances, or even your own emotions. Just think about the last movie that really held your attention. There were times when things were tense, exciting, and maybe even sad. You knew it was just a movie, even though you were interested in the story. You didn't rush to help the hero or cheer for the bad guy like their problems were real. While still feeling the emotions, you were able to keep a sense of distance. A similar approach to life is promoted by the Stoics. It's about being aware of how emotions rise and fall without letting them control you. Think about being cut off in traffic. It is normal to feel angry or upset. For dispassion, you can practice not letting these emotions take over by recognizing them without judging them and then letting them go, like clouds in the sky. This doesn't mean you become passive or apathetic. It just means you have more control over your emotional reactions. Instead of reacting impulsively when faced with a difficult situation, you can take a step back and consider your options. If you can think clearly, you can avoid getting lost in the heat of the moment and make better decisions and take positive action. Dispassion also includes how we react to outside events that are out of our control. It's normal to feel a wave of emotions when a global crisis occurs or when those you love face hardship. We can choose to respond with calm and grace instead of giving up or feeling hopeless if we practice dispassion. This doesn't mean we're cold or uncaring. It just means that even in the face of life's inevitable storms, we maintain our peace. In a sense, dispassion is like an anchor that keeps us steady when life gets rough. It helps us deal with problems in a strong and graceful way. It gives us the strength and stability to be a source of strength for ourselves and those around us. And it reminds us that even though emotions are a normal part of being human, we have the power to rise above them and be the calm in the middle of the storm. Lesson 4. Accept that things change. Change is the only thing that stays the same in life. Everything around us is changing, from the seasons that change with the months to the cells that make up our bodies that get new cells all the time. Even though change is always happening, many of us still don't want it. There is a fear of the unknown that makes us hold on to what we know and feel safe with. The Stoics, on the other hand, advise us to embrace change as a necessary part of life rather than just accepting it. Realizing that things change doesn't mean to cause fear or anxiety. It means to encourage gratitude and presence. Consider for a moment that everything in your life was permanent, that the people you love would never leave, that your current situation would never change, and that every moment of joy and every moment of pain would last forever. At first, this might sound good, but it will only lead to complacency and stagnation. Being aware of how things change is what gives life its color, depth, and speed. We are reminded that every moment, experience, and relationship is valuable and short-lived. It tells us to enjoy the beauty of a sunset, laugh with friends, and show our love to people we care about, because we never know when it will be our last chance. The difficulties and setbacks we face are also included in the Stoic understanding of impermanence. It's easy to feel defeated and overwhelmed when we're going through tough times. We can find comfort in knowing that this too will pass if we accept that everything changes. Just like storm clouds eventually clear, so do our problems and problems. This is a reminder that we can handle life's storms and come out stronger on the other side. How then do we accept impermanence in real life? It starts with a change in how you look at things, but we don't have to fight change. We can learn to flow with it, like a river that bends and turns as it goes. We can cultivate a sense of detachment from material possessions and external circumstances, knowing that they are transitory, and we can be grateful for the lessons and opportunities that come with each turn in our journey. Being open to the idea that things will change is a lot like dancing with life. You should fully engage with its ever-changing rhythms and find joy and meaning in each new moment. 5. Practice being thankful. 5. Practice being thankful. Gratitude is a simple yet powerful practice that can change how we see the world. It's about seeing and appreciating the good things in our lives, even when things are hard. Being thankful changes our attention from what's missing to what's available, and from what's wrong to what's right. Stoic philosophy recognized the power of gratitude as a means to inner peace and contentment. In their view, we can find happiness in the present by recognizing the good things we have. But how do we show gratitude? Why is it so important? Being thankful isn't just for big acts of kindness or unusual events. It can be found in the simple pleasures of life, such as the feel of the sun on your face, the sound of a child laughing, and the aroma of a favorite dish. It's about enjoying these little things and knowing how important they are. The Stoics actually advise us to consider the transience of these pleasures by imagining their loss. Consider for a moment not being able to feel the sun's warmth or hear the laughter of someone you love. How much more valuable would those memories become? This negative visualization practice isn't meant to make us sad. It's meant to make us value the present more. It's a reminder that the little things we take for granted are really gifts that are worth a lot. The power of gratitude can also change how we deal with difficulties. It's simple to give in to negativity and hopelessness when we face difficulties. But if we practice being thankful, we can stay strong and find hope even when things are hard. For example, you can still be thankful for the support of your loved ones, the care of medical professionals, and the chance to get better even if you're sick. By focusing on what you're thankful for, you can find strength and happiness even when things are hard. How then do we show gratitude in our everyday lives? To begin, just think about what you want to do. Take a moment every day to think about what you're thankful for. It might look like a note in a journal, a mental list, or a chat with a friend. When you practice gratitude, try to be specific. For example, instead of just saying, "I'm thankful for my family," think about specific things or moments that make you thankful for them. These actions can turn into habits that change the way you see things and make you happy and content with your life. Lesson 6. Build your resilience. The capacity to overcome adversity, adjust to change, and persevere in the face of difficulties is known as resilience. This trait can mean the difference between giving up in the face of life's challenges and coming out stronger than ever. In order to deal with life's inevitable ups and downs, the Stoics understood the value of fortitude. They thought that we could face problems with courage and grace if we worked on our inner strength and stability. But how do we build resilience in real life? Change of mind is the first step. We don't have to see problems as problems or setbacks. We can see them as chances to learn and grow. When confronted with challenges, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can I become stronger as a result? By rethinking problems in this way, you give yourself the power to face them with determination and resilience. The capacity to control stress and unpleasant emotions is another crucial component of resilience. To develop inner calm and emotional equilibrium, the Stoics recommended practices like mindfulness and meditation. You can stay calm and centered during life's storms by doing these things. This will help you make good decisions and act in the right way. Being resilient also means being able to deal with change and uncertainty. Life is always changing, and our plans and goals need to be shifted around too. Stoics say that we shouldn't hold on to a certain outcome or fight change. Instead, they say, we should be open to the ups and downs of our journey. We can stay true to our core values and go with the flow of life. We can face uncertainty with confidence instead of fear because we are able to adapt. Last but not least, community and connection give resilient strength. Having a network of friends, family, or mentors who are there for you can give you support and direction when things get tough. One powerful way to build resilience is to talk about your problems and ask for help when you need it. In essence, developing the inner resources to face adversity is what resilience is all about. When you're resilient, you can handle life's storms with courage and grace, knowing that you have the strength to get through anything and come out of it stronger than before. Seventh lesson: live in a way that is in line with your values. To live in line with your values, you have to make decisions and choices that show what's most important to you. It entails taking the time to fully understand your core values and making a commitment to live by them in all aspects of your life. The Stoics thought that we can find true happiness and inner peace by living in line with our values. But how do we figure out what our values are, and what can we do to live our lives in line with them? First, you should figure out what your core values are. These ideas and beliefs will guide your life and help you decide what's most important to you. They can be any values that are important to you, like honesty, compassion, strength, or integrity. Take some time to think about yourself and figure out what's important to you. Think about the times and events in your life when you were happiest and most satisfied. These things can help you figure out what your core values are. Once you know what your values are, you should try to make sure that your decisions and actions are in line with them. This means making choices that are in line with your values, even when they are hard or inconvenient. One example is that if you value honesty, try to be honest with everyone, even when it's easy to lie. Finding ways to help others and being kind in your daily life are important if you value compassion. Being self-aware and responsible are also important for living in line with your values. Check your actions and decisions often to see if they are in line with your values. If you find that your actions are no longer in line with your beliefs, you need to take responsibility and work to make them again. Remember that living your life in line with your values is an ongoing process. As you change and grow as a person, you have to keep reflecting on yourself and making changes. Being true to yourself and being happy happen when you live in line with your values. People who are happy and at peace are more likely to make decisions that will make them happy, even when they face problems and difficulties. Finally, the Stoic philosophy gives you timeless wisdom and useful advice on how to control your emotions and get through life's challenges. To find inner peace and happiness in a world where emotions can feel like rough waves, you can understand what you can control, think before you act, practice dispassion, accept that things change, be grateful, build resilience, and live your life in line with your values. Don't forget that you shouldn't expect to learn these lessons right away. They need to be practiced and thought about all the time. However, you can start to change your relationship with yourself and the world around you by implementing Stoic principles into your daily life. Help the character you saw who was crying. You felt, but you didn't move from your seat. For me, this is what it means to practice dispassion. Deeply involved in life and feeling all of its emotions, but also knowing when to stay in the theater of your mind and watch without getting caught up in the action. In today's information-overloaded world, this approach becomes a lifeline. We get a lot of news updates and notifications every day. If we felt strongly about every piece of information, we would always be tired. Dispassion is a buffer that helps you deal with the world in a more stable and balanced way. Dispassion is also very important in relationships with other people. There are times when arguments and heated conversations happen to all of us. When this happens, being able to remain neutral can mean the difference between a helpful conversation and an argument that hurts both sides. We can listen better, respond instead of react, and handle disagreements with understanding and grace when we do this. Being self-aware is the first step to developing dispassion. This space between stimulus and response is made by regularly checking in with ourselves, recognizing our emotional triggers, and understanding our patterns. That space gives us the freedom to choose how to react and to act on purpose instead of on impulse. And while dispassion may sound like being detached from life's pleasures and joys, it actually makes them better. We can fully immerse ourselves in the journey and enjoy each moment without the constant fear of loss or change if we are not overly concerned with the results. Finding balance in a world that is constantly changing is the goal of dispassion. It's a map that leads to inner peace and helps us move gracefully through life's many terrains. By doing this, we not only make our own lives better, but we also help those around us feel calm and clear. Lesson 4. Ask yourself, will this still be important in 5 years? Fourth lesson, ask yourself, will this matter in 5 years? There will be times in life when our patience, strength, and sense of perspective are put to the test. Our days are filled with a variety of situations that elicit a variety of emotions, from minor annoyances like a spilled coffee to bigger challenges like arguments with loved ones. We tend to get caught up in our feelings when we're in the middle of something. It can feel like the end of the world when you miss a deadline, get negative feedback, or forget an important historical date. Will this matter in 5 years? Is a powerful question that can help us see things more clearly. This simple but profound question takes us to the future and back to the present at the same time. All of a sudden, that heated argument or missed chance looks very different. Most of the things we worry about now will be small details in the big story of our lives that we will never remember. Think about the problems and stresses you were facing 5 years ago. How many of them are still true? How many have been overshadowed by new memories, experiences, and things you've learned? This realization can make you feel both humble and free. Using this question as a regular guide helps us figure out what's most important to us. It helps us tell the difference between short-term problems and long-term effects. A bad day at work might seem like a lot right now, but in the grand scheme of things, it's just one day in a career that lasts decades. This point of view also makes people more resilient. Reminding ourselves of the bigger picture can help us deal with difficulties and find solutions when we are faced with difficulty. We don't have to get stuck on the problem at hand. Instead, we can plan, change, and move forward, knowing that time often brings clarity and answers. But it's not just about making our worries seem less important. This question also makes us think about what's important. Investing in relationships, personal growth, and experiences that last is important if we want the things we do and choose to matter in the long run. The question, will this matter in 5 years, helps us live a life with meaning, perspective, and peace. even though our world is very focused on the here and now. We can handle the ups and downs of life with grace by coming back to this question often. This will help us focus our energy and attention on what really matters. Lesson 5. Write in a Stoic journal. The fifth lesson is to keep a Stoic journal. Many people from different cultures and times have praised the act of journaling, not only as a way to keep track of events, but also as a way to reflect, grow, and get clear. With their focus on self-awareness and personal growth, the Stoics were used to this kind of practice. A Stoic journal is more than just a record of what you do each day. It's a place to think, talk to yourself, and analyze your emotions, choices, and responses. When events are compared to personal values and beliefs, this is where the outside world and the inside world meet. Imagine ending your day by talking about not only what happened, but also how you responded. What about a certain comment made you mad? What made you feel so happy while you were doing something boring? We can start to understand the patterns in our minds by breaking down our day. It becomes clear to us what makes us feel a certain way, what guides our choices, and how our daily habits shape our lives. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, kept a journal that is now called Meditations. It wasn't meant to be published. It was a private conversation, a place for him to guide himself, remind himself of Stoic principles, and use wisdom to deal with the difficulties of his life. We can see a man struggling with his emotions, his responsibilities, and his place in the universe through his writings. To get something out of a Stoic journal, you don't have to be an emperor. Setting aside time for self-reflection is even more important in today's world, where there are many distractions and a constant flow of information. Checking in every day is a good way to stay grounded and get clear when things are crazy. This practice can result in profound insights over time. You may find that some situations consistently make you feel stressed, which may lead you to either deal with them or change how you see them. You may find that certain practices, like being grateful or mindful, make you feel better and improve your outlook. You can use the patterns that show up as a guide for your own growth. Besides giving you ideas, a Stoic journal makes you more responsible. You hold yourself accountable for your actions, reactions, and choices when you promise to reflect every day. As a result, it turns into a mirror that shows not only your outside life but also your inner life. A powerful way to apply Stoic ideas to your daily life is to keep a Stoic journal. It's a way to learn about yourself, get better, and take control of your life. You begin a journey of self-understanding, aligning your actions with your values, and living a more purposeful and meaningful life through the practice of journaling. We are responsible for how we act and what we choose to do. When you make the same mistake over and over, it gets harder to ignore it. We are instead told to learn, change, and grow. Keeping a Stoic journal is a lot like having a wise friend by your side who will always be there to listen, help, and guide you. It's a commitment to improving one's self-understanding, living a life that is in line with one's values and principles, and growing as a person. Lesson 6. Look at problems as chances to learn. Sixth lesson. Look at problems as chances to learn. Problems abound in the world, ranging from small setbacks to huge changes on a global scale. Problems are an inevitable part of being human. It would be hard to deal with these problems, but what if we saw them as opportunities? Stoics had a powerful way of looking at problems. They thought that even though we can't always control the events that happen to us, we can control how we perceive them and how we react to them. When you change your point of view, problems stop being setbacks and start being lessons. This idea is best encapsulated in a quote by the Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius. What stands in the way becomes the way. Take the example of a river that runs into a rock. Not stopping, the river finds a way around it, either by wearing away at the rock over time or by making a new path. The boulder, which at first glance seems like an obstacle, changes the course of the river. In the same way, problems in our lives can change our paths and often lead to results we didn't expect. For example, a job loss can be devastating at first, but it can also lead to a new career path, an opportunity to learn new skills, or even the chance to start one's own business. It's possible that a failed relationship will help you grow as a person and make deeper, more meaningful connections in the future. This Stoic view also makes people stronger. When we look at problems as chances to learn and grow, we become more flexible and ready to face problems head-on. What can I learn from this? How can this experience shape me for the better? Becomes the question we ask instead of, why is this happening to me? Of course, this doesn't mean we should look for problems or ignore real ones. It means realizing that every problem has a solution, a chance to make things better. Taking care of this seed with a positive attitude, patience, and persistence can help us turn problems into opportunities for growth, wisdom, and happiness. Lesson 7. Show gratitude. Gratitude is like a golden thread through the complex web of human emotions. It brings us moments of happiness, contentment, and new perspectives. The Stoics believed in the deliberate practice of gratitude, making it a daily ritual to anchor oneself in the present and be thankful for life's blessings, even though it is an emotion that can arise spontaneously. Being grateful is more than just saying thank you. It's a deep appreciation of all the people, events, and forces that make our lives better. It's about seeing the beauty in everyday things, the lessons in problems, and the fact that everything is temporary, which makes it all the more valuable. Seneca, a well-known Stoic philosopher, once said, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without worrying about the future." This is exactly what it means to be grateful, to be deeply rooted in the present and to cherish every moment, experience, and interaction. Thoughts on the little things we take for granted: the sun on a cold day, the sound of laughter, a meal with loved ones, or even the air we breathe. We can make these moments more beautiful and important in our lives by taking a moment to notice and appreciate them. Practicing gratitude can also help you resist the urge to focus on what's missing, on wants that haven't been met, or on worries about the future. We can cultivate contentment, lessen feelings of envy or resentment, and improve our overall health by focusing on what we do have rather than what we don't. One might wonder how to get better at this practice. It can be as easy as writing down 3 things you're thankful for every morning or every night. Over time, this practice can change the way you see things, making you more open to life's good things and stronger when faced with problems. Gratitude also gives relationships strength. When we thank others for their kindness, support, or love, we strengthen relationships, promote mutual respect, and start a positive feedback loop of love and kindness. Gratitude serves as a gentle reminder of the abundance that already exists in our lives in a world that frequently emphasizes more possessions, accomplishments, and desires. It's a call to enjoy the present, welcome life with open arms, and walk this life path with gratitude in your heart. We live in a world that tells us to hustle harder, push faster, and fight relentlessly for everything we want. Society screams that success belongs only to those who burn themselves out in pursuit of their dreams. But what if I told you that the ancient Stoics discovered something completely different? What if the secret to manifesting everything you desire isn't found in frantic action, but in the profound peace of letting go? Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in the Roman Empire, wrote in his personal journal, "Confine yourself to the present. He understood that when we stop fighting the current of life and start flowing with it, miracles begin to happen. The Stoics weren't passive dreamers. They were warriors who conquered through wisdom, not force. Think about water for a moment. It doesn't struggle against the rocks in its path. Instead, it flows around them, over them, through them, and eventually it shapes the entire landscape. This is the power of relaxed intention, the ability to hold your desires lightly while trusting the natural order of things to bring them to fruition. When you're constantly stressed about your goals, when you're gripping so tightly to outcomes that your knuckles turn white, you're actually pushing away the very things you want most. Anxiety creates resistance, and resistance blocks the flow of abundance into your life. The Stoics understood that our desperation often becomes the biggest obstacle between us and our dreams. But here's where it gets beautiful. When you truly relax into your desires, when you align with the natural rhythm of existence, you become magnetic to opportunities. You start noticing doors that were always open but invisible to your stressed mind. You begin attracting the right people, circumstances, and resources, not through force, but through a calm confidence that tells the universe you're ready to receive. This isn't about becoming lazy or giving up on your dreams. It's about discovering the difference between effortless action and exhausting struggle. It's about learning to plant seeds with intention and then trusting the soil, the rain, and the sun to do their work. The Stoics called this amor fati, love of fate, the deep acceptance that everything unfolds exactly as it should. Today, I'm going to share with you 10 profound Stoic principles that will transform how you approach manifestation. These aren't just theories, they're practical wisdom that has been tested by thousands of years of human experience. Each principle will show you how to release the tension that's been blocking your blessings and step into the flow state where miracles become natural. Before we dive deep into this life-changing wisdom, I need you to do something. Hit that like button right now. It tells me you're ready for transformation. If that speaks to you, type this in the comments to anchor it in your heart. When I relax, life flows to me. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. Subscribe to this channel because we're just getting started on this journey together. And please, don't skip any part of this video. Number 1. The art of detached desire. Here's the paradox that drives most people crazy. The more desperately you want something, the more it seems to slip away from you. But the Stoics discovered something revolutionary about human desire that modern psychology is only beginning to understand. Epictetus, who went from slave to one of history's greatest philosophers, taught, "Wealth consists in not having great possessions, but in having few wants." This isn't about giving up your dreams. It's about understanding the difference between wanting something and needing it. When you need something, you create desperation. When you want something while being completely okay without it, you create magnetism. Think about the people in your life who seem to effortlessly attract what they want. They're not the ones constantly talking about what they lack or posting desperate affirmations on social media. They're the ones who hold their desires lightly, like a butterfly resting on their palm. They want beautiful things to happen, but they don't define their worth by whether those things arrive on their timeline. This is what the Stoics called preferred indifference. Yes, you prefer to have success, love, and abundance, but your inner peace doesn't depend on them. Your happiness isn't held hostage by external circumstances. This creates a powerful energy that actually draws opportunities toward you because people and the universe itself are attracted to those who aren't needy. When you practice detached desire, you stop sending out desperate energy that repels what you want. Instead, you begin operating from a place of abundance, even before the physical manifestations arrive. You start making decisions from confidence rather than fear, and confident decisions almost always lead to better outcomes. The magic happens when you can say, "I would love for this to happen, and I'm taking inspired action toward it, but I'm genuinely okay if it doesn't happen exactly as I imagine." This isn't giving up, this is growing up. This is understanding that the universe often has something even better in mind than what your limited perspective can see. Practice this today. Hold your biggest desire in your mind, then take a deep breath and say, "This or something better." Feel how that releases the pressure and opens up infinite possibilities. Let this one sink into your soul and drop it in the comments if it resonates. I desire with peace, not desperation. Number 2, present moment magnetism. Your mind is probably living everywhere except where your power actually exists, right here, right now. Most people spend their days mentally living in a future that hasn't happened yet, or replaying a past that can't be changed. But the Stoics understood something profound. All manifestation happens in the present moment, and when you're not here, you miss the magic. Seneca wrote, "True happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future." This isn't just beautiful philosophy, it's practical magic. When your consciousness is fully present, you notice opportunities that your scattered mind would completely miss. You hear the casual comment that leads to your next big break. You feel the intuitive nudge to take a different route home where you bump into exactly the right person. But here's what most people don't understand about presence. It's not just about awareness, it's about energy. When you're truly present, you're operating at your highest vibration. You're not carrying the heavy energy of past regrets or future anxieties. You're pure potential, and that energy is incredibly attractive to both people and circumstances. Think about the most magnetic people you know. They're not the ones constantly checking their phones or talking about what they're going to do someday. They're the ones who look you in the eye when you speak, who seem to have all the time in the world, who make you feel like you're the only person in the room. That's presence, and it's magnetic. The beautiful irony is that when you stop living for the future, you create a better future. When you stop trying to escape this moment becomes the launching pad for everything you've been dreaming of. Opportunities don't exist in tomorrow. They exist in the awareness you bring to today. Your breath is your anchor to the present. Every time you notice your mind wandering into what if or if only, come back to your breathing. Feel your feet on the ground. Notice 3 things you can see, hear, or feel right now. This isn't meditation, this is manifestation practice. The present moment isn't just where you exist, it's where you create. Stop living in the waiting room of your life and step into the reality where miracles are happening right now. Number 3. The wisdom of accepted resistance. Life is going to give you obstacles. That's not a possibility, that's a guarantee. But here's what separates those who manifest their dreams from those who stay stuck. How you relate to resistance determines whether it becomes your enemy or your teacher. Marcus Aurelius faced plagues, wars, and betrayals, yet he wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This isn't just poetic language. This is the secret to turning every setback into a setup for something greater. When you stop fighting reality and start dancing with it, resistance becomes your greatest ally. Most people encounter an obstacle and immediately think the universe is working against them. They take it personally, get discouraged, and often give up entirely. But what if every obstacle is actually the universe's way of making you stronger, wiser, and more ready for what you're asking for? Consider the oyster and the pearl. The irritation of sand doesn't destroy the oyster. It creates something beautiful and valuable. Your obstacles aren't punishments. They're invitations to grow into the person who can handle the level of success you're requesting. When you accept resistance instead of resenting it, something magical happens. You stop wasting energy fighting what is, and you start using that energy to navigate through what is. You become like water again, flexible, persistent, and ultimately unstoppable. This doesn't mean you become passive or that you don't take action. It means you take inspired action instead of desperate action. You respond instead of react. You look for the lesson in every challenge and the opportunity in every obstacle. The next time something doesn't go according to your plan, pause and ask, how is this actually serving my highest good? What is this experience trying to teach me? How is this making me stronger for what's coming? Sometimes the delay is protection. Sometimes the detour leads to something better than your original destination. Sometimes the no you receive is clearing the way for a much bigger yes. Trust the process, even when you can't see the bigger picture. The universe has a perspective you don't have access to, and it's always working in your favor, even when it doesn't feel that way. Comment this if you're ready to grow through the hard moments. I grow stronger through resistance, not weaker. Number 4, the power of inner authority. Here's a truth that will set you free. You've been giving your power away to everyone and everything around you, and that's exactly why your manifestations feel so out of reach. The Stoics discovered that true manifestation begins the moment you reclaim your inner authority and stop making external circumstances the boss of your internal state. Epictetus taught, "No one can hurt you without your permission." This goes deeper than just emotional resilience. This is about understanding where your real power lives. Every time you say, "I can't be happy until," or "I'll feel successful when," you're essentially handing the keys to your kingdom to someone or something outside of yourself. Think about how exhausting it is to live this way. Your mood depends on other people's opinions. Your confidence rises and falls with your bank account. Your sense of worth fluctuates with external validation. You've turned yourself into a puppet, and circumstances are pulling all your strings. But when you reclaim your inner authority, everything changes. You realize that your peace, your joy, and your sense of abundance are internal decisions, not external conditions. This doesn't mean you become indifferent to outcomes. It means you stop making outcomes responsible for your well-being. This shift creates incredible manifesting power because you're no longer operating from lack or neediness. When you know you can be happy regardless of circumstances, you make better decisions. When you know your worth isn't determined by external validation, you show up more authentically. When you know your security comes from within, you take bigger, bolder risks. People can sense this inner authority, and they're drawn to it. Opportunities flow toward those who aren't desperately chasing them. Success gravitates toward those who don't need it to feel valuable. Start practicing this today. Before you check social media, before you look at your bank account, before you seek validation from others, check in with yourself. Ask, how do I choose to feel right now, regardless of my circumstances? Then honor that choice. Your external world will always be a reflection of your internal world. Change the inside, and the outside has no choice but to follow. Feel that power rising in you. Share it in the comments. I am the author of my own experience. Number 5. The art of strategic non-action. This might sound contradictory, but sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is absolutely nothing. The Stoics understood something that our action-obsessed culture has forgotten. There's a profound difference between being busy and being effective, between motion and progress, between forced action and aligned action. Lao Tzu, whose philosophy deeply influenced Stoic thought, taught, "The sage does not attempt anything very big, and thus achieves greatness." Sometimes your biggest breakthrough comes not from doing more, but from having the wisdom to do less. We live in a culture that equates action with progress, but much of what we call taking action is actually anxiety in disguise. We stay busy because stillness makes us uncomfortable. We keep pushing because we're afraid that if we stop, everything will fall apart. But this frantic energy often pushes away the very things we're trying to attract. Strategic non-action doesn't mean being lazy or giving up on your dreams. It means having the confidence to step back when you've done your part and trust the process to unfold. It means knowing when to plant seeds and when to let them germinate in darkness. It means understanding that some things simply cannot be rushed, no matter how badly you want them. Think about a master chess player. They don't make moves just to be moving pieces. They wait for the right opportunity, even if it means sitting in apparent inaction while their opponent makes hasty moves. Their patience becomes their power, and their restraint becomes their strategy. When you learn the art of strategic non-action, you stop exhausting yourself with busy work that doesn't actually move you forward. You begin to trust your intuition about when to act and when to wait. You discover that sometimes the universe needs space to work its magic, and your job is simply to get out of the way. This week, practice saying, "I don't know" when you don't know, and "I'll wait" when waiting feels right. Notice how this creates space for solutions and opportunities that your forced action was actually blocking. The universe rewards those who can be still enough to receive what it's trying to give them. Number 6. Gratitude as a manifesting force. Most people think gratitude is just about being polite or positive, but the Stoics understood something much deeper. Gratitude is actually one of the most powerful manifesting forces in the universe. When you truly appreciate what you already have, you create a magnetic field that draws more abundance into your life. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "When you wake up in the morning, tell yourself, 'The people I deal with today will be meddling, ungrateful, arrogant, dishonest, jealous, and surly. They are like this because they can't tell good from evil. But I have seen the beauty of good and the ugliness of evil, and have recognized that the wrongdoer has a nature related to my own.'" Even in acknowledging human flaws, he found reasons for gratitude and understanding. Here's what happens energetically when you practice real gratitude. You shift from operating from a mindset of scarcity to operating from a mindset of abundance. Instead of focusing on what's missing, you're acknowledging what's present. Instead of sending out lack energy, you're radiating fullness energy. But this isn't about fake positivity or pretending everything is perfect. True Stoic gratitude acknowledges reality while choosing to focus on what's working rather than what's broken. It's about finding genuine appreciation for your challenges because they're making you stronger, for your struggles because they're teaching you wisdom, for your setbacks because they're redirecting you towards something better. When you wake up grateful, you start your day in a high vibration state that attracts high vibration experiences. When you go to bed grateful, you program your subconscious mind to look for more things to appreciate. This creates an upward spiral where gratitude leads to more experiences worth being grateful for. The magic isn't just in feeling grateful, it's in expressing gratitude. Tell people how much they mean to you. Write thank you notes for small kindnesses. Acknowledge the beauty in ordinary moments. Appreciate your body for carrying you through life, your breath for sustaining you, your heart for continuing to beat. Gratitude turns what you have into enough, and enough is always the foundation for more. When the universe sees you appreciating what you've already been given, it trusts you with greater gifts. Number 7. The strength of emotional sovereignty. Your emotions are not happening to you, they're being created by you. This single realization contains enough power to transform your entire life. Yet most people spend years giving their emotional state away to circumstances, other people, and random events beyond their control. Seneca taught, "Every new thing excites the mind, but a mind that seeks the truth turns from the new and unknown to the eternal and divine." Your emotional reactions are choices, not inevitable responses. When you understand this, you reclaim the throne of your own experience. Think about two people experiencing the same rejection, the same financial setback, or the same disappointment. One person crumbles and stays stuck for months. The other person feels the emotion fully, learns from it, and uses it as fuel to create something better. The difference isn't in their circumstances, it's in their emotional sovereignty. Emotional sovereignty doesn't mean suppressing your feelings or pretending negative emotions don't exist. It means you feel your emotions fully without letting them drive the car of your life. You acknowledge anger without becoming destructive. You honor sadness without drowning in it. You feel fear without letting it paralyze you. This creates incredible manifesting power because your emotions are literally your creative energy. When you're in control of your emotional state, you're in control of what you're creating. When you can choose peace in the middle of chaos, you become a powerful attractor of peaceful circumstances. When you can find joy regardless of your current situation, you magnetize joyful experiences. The practice is simple, but not easy. When you feel a strong emotion, pause and ask yourself, what is this emotion trying to tell me? What can I learn from this? How can I use this energy constructively? Then make a conscious choice about how long you'll stay in that emotional state and what you'll do with the energy it provides. Your emotions are meant to be messengers, not masters. They're designed to give you information and energy, not to control your decisions or determine your destiny. When you master your emotional world, you master your manifesting power. Say it with confidence in the comments if you're stepping into your emotional power. My emotions exist, but they do not control me. Number 8. The philosophy of enough. In a world that constantly tells you that you need more to be happy, the Stoics discovered a revolutionary secret. The feeling of enough is not about how much you have, it's about how you relate to what you have. When you master the philosophy of enough, you unlock a level of contentment and power that no external acquisition can provide. Seneca, one of the wealthiest men in Rome, wrote, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more, who is poor." This wasn't coming from someone who didn't understand material success. This was coming from someone who had everything the world said should make him happy, yet found his deepest fulfillment in something entirely different. The philosophy of enough doesn't mean settling for less or giving up on your dreams. It means recognizing that your happiness and sense of abundance aren't dependent on getting more stuff, more recognition, or more validation. It means understanding that the feeling you think you'll get from achieving your goals is actually available to you right now, in this moment, with what you already have. Here's the paradox that changes everything. When you genuinely feel like you have enough, you stop operating from desperation and start operating from abundance. And abundance energy attracts abundant experiences. When you're not grasping for more, more comes to you naturally. Think about the most attractive people in your life. Not physically attractive, but energetically attractive. They're not the ones constantly complaining about what they lack or obsessing over what they want. They're the ones who seem genuinely content with their lives while still being excited about growth and new experiences. This contentment isn't complacency, it's confidence. It's the deep knowing that you're already whole, already valuable, already enough, regardless of what you achieve or acquire. From this foundation, you can pursue your dreams from love rather than fear, from excitement rather than desperation. Practice this. Before you go to sleep tonight, mentally inventory everything you have to be grateful for: your health, your relationships, your opportunities, your experiences. Feel, really feel, how rich your life already is. This is the energy that creates miracles. Let's flood the comments with this truth if you're done chasing and ready to receive. I am enough, and I attract from that place. Number 9, the courage of authentic expression. One of the biggest blocks to manifestation is living a life that isn't authentically yours. When you're constantly trying to be who others expect you to be, when you're hiding your true thoughts and feelings, when you're playing roles that don't fit your soul, you create internal resistance that blocks the flow of your desires into reality. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself how much trouble he avoids who does not look to see what his neighbor says or does. The courage to be authentically yourself, regardless of others' opinions, isn't just about personal freedom. It's about manifestation power. When you're not being authentic, you're essentially lying to the universe about who you are and what you want. How can life give you what's truly meant for you if you're not showing up as who you truly are? How can the right opportunities find you if you're hiding behind a mask? Authentic expression doesn't mean being rude or inconsiderate. It means having the courage to speak your truth with kindness, to pursue what genuinely excites you rather than what you think should excite you, to make decisions based on your values rather than others' expectations. The beautiful thing about authenticity is that it naturally attracts what's meant for you and repels what isn't. When you stop trying to please everyone, you start attracting people who genuinely appreciate the real you. When you stop chasing goals that aren't truly yours, you start manifesting experiences that actually fulfill you. This takes courage, because authentic living means some people won't understand you, some opportunities might not be for you, and some paths you thought you wanted might not actually align with who you're becoming. But this isn't loss. This is liberation. Your authentic self is your most powerful self, because it's the only self that can create a life that truly satisfies your soul. Everything you're meant to have is attracted to the real you, not the version of you that's trying to fit in or meet others' expectations. Start today. In one conversation, tell the truth about how you really feel. In one decision, choose what you actually want, rather than what you think you should want. Notice how this shifts your energy and opens up new possibilities. Number 10. Trust in divine timing. The final and perhaps most profound Stoic principle for manifestation is learning to trust in divine timing. The understanding that everything unfolds exactly when it's meant to, not when you think it should. This isn't passive waiting. This is active faith in the intelligence of the universe. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together." The Stoics believed in a rational, purposeful universe where everything happens for a reason, even when that reason isn't immediately clear to our limited human perspective. Your impatience is often your biggest enemy in manifestation. When you demand that things happen on your timeline, you create resistance against the natural flow of events. You miss opportunities because you're so focused on forcing one particular outcome. You reject good things because they don't look exactly like what you ordered. But when you trust divine timing, you relax into a rhythm that's much larger and wiser than your personal agenda. You understand that delays aren't denials. They're often divine protection or preparation. Sometimes you need to grow into the person who can handle what you're asking for. Sometimes the world needs to shift to create the perfect conditions for your manifestation. Think about the best things that have happened in your life. How many of them occurred exactly when you expected them to? Probably very few. Most of your greatest blessings likely came as surprises through unexpected paths, at times when you weren't even looking for them. This doesn't mean you stop taking action or setting goals. It means you hold your goals lightly while trusting that life has a bigger plan than what you can see from your current vantage point. It means you do your part with dedication while surrendering the outcome with grace. When you trust divine timing, you stop exhausting yourself, trying to control everything. You stop missing the beauty of the present moment because you're so anxious about the future. You start noticing the magic that's happening right now, instead of waiting for the magic you think should happen tomorrow. The universe is always working in your favor, even when it doesn't feel that way. Your job is to align with this truth and let it carry you toward your highest good. The ancient Stoics didn't have vision boards or manifestation journals, but they understood something that modern self-help often misses. True manifestation isn't about getting what you want. It's about becoming who you need to be to receive what's meant for you. When you relax into these 10 principles, detached desire, present moment awareness, accepted resistance, inner authority, strategic non-action, gratitude, emotional sovereignty, the philosophy of enough, authentic expression, and divine timing, you stop fighting against life and start flowing with it. This isn't about giving up your dreams or lowering your standards. This is about raising your consciousness to a level where miracles become natural, where synchronicities become common, where what you need finds you instead of you chasing what you want. The Stoics knew that peace isn't the absence of challenges, it's the presence of wisdom, and wisdom, applied consistently, creates the conditions for everything good to flow into your life. Your manifestations are already on their way. Your job is simply to relax, trust, and become ready to receive them. Remember to like this video, share it with someone who needs this message. To seal this message and call peace into your life, comment, "I relax, I trust, and I receive." And subscribe to this channel for more life-changing wisdom. Until next time, stay stoic, stay strong, and stay open to miracles.